Chapter 687. On the other side. A few team members followed Bei Yunji's instructions and threw a grenade into the river. Not long after, a loud explosion caused a huge wave. The fire spread, and even the driftwood turned red for a moment. Soon, they stuck their heads out and saw that the green river had turned blood red. Their scalps went numb. Fortunately, they did not cross the river just now. Otherwise, they would not have known that there was someone hiding in the water. Reporting, Miss Pei is telling the truth. There's someone inside. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. At the same time, this made Dai Dan's heart tighten. She also had a question that troubled her. And this question happened to be asked by someone else first. How did Miss Pei know that there was someone in the river? Bei Yunji was not at the scene. Bei Yunji adjusted his earphones and lowered their volume. I guessed it according to the topographic map just now. Hearing this, White Bear and Lin Shui could not help but look at Bei Yunji. Bei Yunji did not have a computer. It was obvious that he had just memorized the topographic map. This brain capacity. Everyone's scalps went numb. When Dai Dan heard this, her heart ached even more. She felt like she had been slapped in the face. She could not even compare to an unprofessional girl. Along the way, Bei Yunji had been listening to Chen Hu and Fatty's arrangements most of the time. He was calm and casual. He would only give them some advice occasionally. Lu Da's face was ashen. What's going on here? Lu Da, is it the girl who saved that person just now? The injured team member asked. Lu Da could not help but frown when he heard this. How was this possible? At this moment, Meng Liang was more excited than anyone else. It's her. It must be her. You know her? Didn't you say that that person is a computer expert? Lu Da asked. But how could a real battlefield only test computer skills? If that was the case, then there was no need for them. Meng Liang immediately shook his head. Lu Da, that person is not simple. Don't underestimate her. Lu Da gritted his teeth. Only then did he realize how peaceful his first 20 years as a mercenary had been. But now, he was being completely suppressed by a little girl. I understand. Lu Da gritted his teeth and his gaze darkened. This time, he had to take it seriously. Lu Da opened his palm and glanced at his AI chip. His expression turned cold as he swallowed the item. Lu Da, you. Meng Liang did not have the time to say anything. If I die, they must come and take my body. Lu Da instructed his subordinates. His subordinate was not convinced. It's just a woman. Lu Da, don't be too negative. That's right, that hateful woman. I must kill her. Lu Da also had a ferocious expression. He had actually forced him to this extent. Indeed, he deserved to die. Miss Pei, you're really a genius. You're too amazing. Someone couldn't help but praise. Bei Yunji said unhurriedly. The other party has been fooled for so long. He'll be serious. Does Miss Pei have any ideas? Someone immediately asked. It was as if Bei Yunji could solve all problems. Yes. Bei Yunji responded and said slowly, Everyone, do your best. Protect me well. Everyone was speechless. Bei Yunji glanced at his watch and remained calm. He estimated that there were still 20 minutes. Soon. What was unexpected was that Chen Hu actually managed to capture Meng Liang with his men. Meng Liang struggled with all his might. Let go of me. I'm no longer a household register here. You have no right to touch me. Chapter 688. As he struggled, Meng Liang saw an excessively beautiful girl beside him. Are you the person who called me just now? Who are you? Bei Yunji raised her eyebrows and glanced at the middle-aged man in his 40s or 50s, but she had no intention of paying attention to him. She glanced at her watch and smiled lazily. 14 minutes. Meng Liang immediately realized that Bei Yunji had said 1 hour. Then, he couldn't help but laugh crazily. Do you think you've won? Let me tell you you've lost. Seeing this, the others couldn't help but frown. They felt that Meng Liang was implying something. Bei Yunji's eyes flashed and she quickly thought of something. Meng Liang's smile gradually disappeared and he looked at her warily. What are you trying to say? Bei Yunji walked around him and sized up the off-road vehicle. She asked intentionally or unintentionally, Your off-road vehicle doesn't seem to have much oil. Meng Liang immediately panicked when he was asked this, but he pretended to be calm. You've already planned this route in the Great Eagle Forest, right? Bei Yunji's voice sounded slowly. Hearing this, no idiot would blatantly fly at high altitudes near the war zone. Bei Yunji was wearing black leather gloves and playing with the bristlegrass in her hand slowly. Her eyes were impudent and arrogant. Isn't that right, Mr. Meng? Don't waste your time. I won't reveal it. Team Tiger, go to the nearby river zone and search for people. Meng Liang's heart skipped a beat when he heard Bei Yunji's voice. Fear gradually spread. This girl who looked young was really too scary. Search in the south of the river zone. There's a cliff in the north. After Bei Yunji finished speaking, Fatty hesitated for a moment and asked tentatively, Miss Pei, do you remember all the topographic maps? Bei Yunji changed the topic and suddenly looked at Meng Liang. Her beautiful and bright eyes seemed to be able to see through people's hearts. Meng Liang felt inexplicably guilty. You're too arrogant. In the control room. Does this brain really exist? Old Master Lung asked a question that Si Chengyan asked every day. This area isn't too big. Bei Yunji said. Everyone. This hopeless academic flunky. It was just 2 foreign names, but they had actually become so wordy. Zhong Shanglin glanced at Old Master Lung. How else do you think she got both the Farisk and Busaka nominations? All right. Stop arguing. It gives me a headache, Old Master Lung immediately said. Zhong Shanglin, Bei Yunji shouted. White Bear. When White Bear heard the coldness in Bei Yunji's tone, he quickly stepped forward and punched Meng Liang in the stomach. It made Meng Liang's face contort. After seeing a bug like Bei Yunji with his own eyes, Meng Liang was a little devastated. Let me go. Let me go. I'm telling you, there's no way you can win. Before Meng Liang could finish speaking, this action shocked everyone. They all looked at White Bear in confusion. When did he have such a good relationship with Miss Pei? Bei Yunji walked up to him and patted his face gently with a gentle smile. Her eyes were casual and arrogant. This isn't something you should worry about, understand? Miss Pei, do you want to come with us? Fatty thought for a moment and asked. Chapter 689. Bei Yunji raised her eyebrows and glanced at White Bear, but she agreed. That's great. White Bear was the happiest. He wanted to participate in this mission as well. However, he had to stay away from the danger zone to protect Bei Yunji. Let's drive. Bei Yunji raised her eyebrows when she saw the broken window of the Jeep. Miss Pei, do you know how to drive? Yes. After Bei Yunji said that, White Bear became excited again. He couldn't hide his joy. That's great. However, a few minutes later, another thing suddenly occurred to them. Miss Pei, how old are you this year? I'm almost 20. Bei Yunji sat in the driver's seat and answered. Do you have a driver's license? Bei Yunji paused and glanced at Chen Hu. She smiled and said, No. The next moment, before anyone could react, Bei Yunji stepped on the accelerator and drove to the maximum speed. Everyone. Soon, they were near the river zone. Everyone took a deep breath. If not for their good physical fitness, they would have been killed by Bei Yunji's driving skills. They couldn't let Bei Yunji drive next time. This was their first thought. However, Bei Yunji glanced at the marks on the ground and her sharp eyes saw some inconspicuous bloodstains. It's right in front. Bei Yunji said in an orderly manner. Hearing this, everyone scanned their surroundings and quickly headed towards the river zone. Over there. White Bear said immediately. Parkway. Everyone turned to look at the yacht not far away. However, in the next second, Bei Yunji's eyes moved and she quickly pulled White Bear back. Be careful of the bullets. Fortunately, Bei Yunji's warning was fast enough. Everyone avoided the bullets. In the blink of an eye, the next round of battle began again. However, the gradually increasing distance, the yacht's constantly changing route, and the cunning opponent made him feel somewhat powerless. Unable to accurately hit the enemy, Bei Yunji thought for a moment, then adjusted his Bluetooth, and his voice was clearly heard by everyone. Do you know where the yacht's gasoline is stored? Break through the iron sheet and the storage box. Hearing this, everyone quickly changed their target, which made the few people on the yacht feel a little strange. Why were these people getting more and more off target? But soon they reacted. They're attacking our fuel tanks. Luda and the others' faces changed. At this moment, when Bei Yunj saw that there was a gas leak, she asked White Bear, "Do you have tracers?" White Bear braced himself. "No." Bei Yunj, "What about the incendiary bombs?" "I do." White Bear quickly loaded the incendiary bomb into the gun. "What are you going to do with it?" Bei Yunj looked at the people on the yacht and already knew their intentions. She did not have time to explain to White Bear. She took the wooden gun from White Bear, closed her left eye gently, and aimed at the spot where the oil was leaking. Her slender finger pressed the trigger. There was a loud bang. A flash of fire passed through and ignited the gasoline on the surface of the sea. Then, the entire simple yacht burst into flames. In an instant, the entire place was ablaze. Everyone present was shocked. They subconsciously looked at the girl who had just opened the gun. Was she really not King trained person? "Go and catch them. Don't let them escape." Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Lu Da and the others cursed along the way, saying that these people were playing dirty tricks. Chapter 690. Lu Da, there's someone there. Hearing this, Lu Da immediately raised the wooden gun and prepared to kill that person. But the next moment, a strange light flashed across his eyes and he put down his weapon. "Go and capture him." After saying that, soon, someone pushed a young boy who was only wearing pants over. "Who are you?" Lu Da asked in the local language that wasn't very standard. The boy probably didn't expect to meet a few people with wooden guns. His expression didn't look good and he didn't say anything. "Speak." Another team member next to him immediately pointed a dagger at his throat. "Don't touch him," Lu Da said in a deep voice. "Lu Da, you." That person wanted to say something but hesitated. Lu Da glanced at him indifferently. "As long as he's here, our chances of winning will be higher." Hearing this, everyone immediately understood. They kept an eye on the boy along the way, not giving him any chance to escape. Soon, Lu Da was mentally prepared to be captured by these people again. Seeing these people chasing after him, he sneered. "You guys are really amazing. I have to say, I admire you guys." Bei Yunj, who was behind him, just casually glanced around and didn't plan to go forward. "Come back with us now." Chen, who pointed at him with the wooden gun. Hearing this, Lu Da suddenly laughed and grabbed the boy's neck with one hand. "Is that so? Don't act rashly. I don't want to hurt the innocent. Where did this child come from?" Someone subconsciously frowned and asked. At this moment, there was actually such an episode. "How about this? I can apologize with my death, but you have to let my brother go. Allow them to take my body away. How about that?" Lu Da's eyes were like an eagle's as he stared at them and asked. 2020 this is not a worthwhile transaction. Furthermore, there is no good transaction that would be carried out with threats. Chen Hu laughed. Everyone was thinking about how to save the boy. The safety of the innocent hostage was the most important. "What does Miss Pei think?" Chen Hu asked. Only then did Pei Yunj look up and meet Ruda's eyes. Soon, Lu Da reacted. This was the person Meng Liang was talking about. His heart sank. Sure enough, Bei Yunj spoke up in the next moment. She chuckled. "Isn't the corpse a little troublesome? What about the ashes? There's an idiom in our country that goes like this. Burn the bones and scatter the ashes." Immediately, the faces of Lu Da and the others changed. This was especially true for Lu Da, who felt an inexplicable sense of panic. Did this person discover something so he did it on purpose? The corpse had been burned to ashes, so how could the chip still be there? "Arrogant. Don't you dare," Lu Da's team member said angrily. "Yes, let us go. Otherwise, this little boy won't be able to live." Lu Da thought for a moment and suddenly laughed. "I don't want to involve innocent people. I wonder if that beautiful lady is willing to be a hostage." White Bear's face sank. Impossible. The others thought the same. Especially in the monitoring room, the people who were watching this scene were on tenterhooks. No matter what. With Bei Yunja's status, she could not become a hostage. Sergeant Gao could not help but give the order. "Everyone, don't forget what the most important mission this time is. Protect Bei Yunj. This was their first mission. No. Chapter 691. But is it possible for all of you to leave safely? Luda smiled and said, I believe that this beautiful lady was involved in the plan just now. Of course, I won't take revenge on you. I just want to use you in exchange for a chance to leave alive. Bei Yunj chuckled nonchalantly and walked between the two parties. All right, let the child go first. As soon as Bei Yunj finished speaking, White Bear shouted nervously, Miss Pei Yu. Bei Yunj only glanced at him and walked slowly towards him. Just as their eyes lit up, they saw Bei Yunj playing with a familiar object in her hand. It was a grenade. This was a warning to them to let the child go. Lu Da's expression changed and he could only say one sentence through gritted teeth. Let the child go. Nah. He really believed that this person was the one who had been messing with his plan from the beginning to the end. In the beginning, these people didn't have any advantage. But later on, they were beaten to the point where they couldn't even fight back. Seeing the boy walk in front of her, he called out guiltily, Sis! Sis? He was afraid that this sister of his would lose her life in order to save him. Bei Yunj sized him up and patted his head before walking forward. She smiled casually and said, You can swim quite well. The boy looked down at his wet pants. He lived in a village 3,000 to 4,000 meters away. He swam nearly 2,000 meters near the river before reaching here. Not long after the hostage exchange was successful, someone pointed a wooden gun at the back of Bei Yunj's head from behind. The team member took Bei Yunj hostage and glanced at the others provocatively. However, Bei Yunj did not look nervous from the beginning to the end. No one noticed that Bei Yunj glanced at her wristwatch. Let's retreat. With Bei Yunj in their hands, the others didn't dare to use force. White Bear asked anxiously, What should we do? What should we do? Miss Pei is in their hands. In the monitoring room. Old Zhong, calm down. Gu'er was willing to be a hostage. Don't be anxious, Old Master Lung said quickly. Zhong Xinglin's face was ashen, and his heart was in a mess. These bastards. Don't worry, Gu'er is very important to them. Nothing's going to happen. Old Master Lung quickly comforted him. Cui Hengchuan asked casually, Elder Lung, have the other teams been transferred over? They should be here soon. Old Master Lung took the opportunity to reassure Zhong Shanglin. I don't care. If these people dared to touch even a strand of my Gu'er's hair, they must be killed the moment they are caught. All right, I'll listen to you. Old Master Lung quickly agreed. On the way. You're not afraid? Ruda always felt that this girl was too calm. It's not the first time. Bei Yunj was calm and collected. Luda couldn't help but take another look at Bei Yunj, and a dark light flashed in his eyes. Miss, I know your ability. It would be a pity if you died. Bei Yunj glanced at him. You want me to betray you? There's indeed no burden to communicate with smart people. Lu Da's eyes lit up. With your ability, you're highly valued anywhere. Miss, you should know that if those people don't let me go in the end, I can only fight to the death. But I believe that you might be able to help us escape successfully. As long as we leave this place, I can bring you thousands of times more benefits. Chapter 692. Bei Yunj's eyebrows twitched as he glanced at Lu Da. He smiled and said, It should be easy to choose between life and death, right? It's a good choice. Bei Yunj suddenly stopped in his tracks. The team members following behind him quickly pointed the wooden gun at him. What are you doing? The team member asked fiercely. But at this moment. However, Lu Da's entire body froze. He felt something cold pressing against his back. Without a doubt. It was the wooden gun. Do you want to go back with me now, or do you want to try and see who will be the first to die? Lu Da listened to the girl's half-hearted voice and could not feel her fear at all. A person who did not know fear was simply a lunatic. Do you think I'm afraid of losing my life? Lu Da took a deep breath and sneered again. He was forcing himself not to be afraid of the wooden gun pointing at his heart. Lu Da, it's been an hour. Bei Yunj's lips curled up. If I die, you guys will only turn into ashes. As soon as he finished speaking. At first, Lu Da did not understand what Bei Yunj meant. But the next moment, he heard a sound above his head. When he looked up, he saw 7 or 8 helicopters hovering. Rescue teams surrounded them from both sides. Seeing this scene, Luda could not help but grit his teeth. In the end he said unwillingly, "Ricky, put it down." Ricky's face was livid. He scanned his surroundings and knew that this mission had failed. But he did not expect that the hour Bei Yunj was talking about was these. Not long after, the people from the blue and red teams saw the people coming down from the helicopters. They also saw their team emblem. Wait a minute. Doesn't that team emblem look a little familiar? The people from the blue team whispered. Not long after, another team came down from the other side. Within a few minutes, everyone reacted. It's Falcon and Wolf. No way, Falcon and Subdue Wolf have both appeared? Everyone could not suppress their excitement. These two teams were the legends of the district. Who didn't want to join these two teams? Just as everyone was feeling reserved and did not dare to go to the two big shots of the two teams, the captains of Falcon and Wolf walked up to Bei Yunj. "Miss Pei, are you all right? I heard from Elder Zhong that something happened to you, so I rushed over." The captain of Team Wolf, Tan Nan, looked gentle. His skin was fair and clean, which did not match his profession. However, his eyes were very dark, as if they could see through people's hearts. "I'm fine." Bei Yunj handed the things in her hands to White Bear. At this moment, the captain of the Falcon squad couldn't help but ask, "Miss Pei, how old are you? You've been running around all day and even come to a place like this?" The captain of the Falcons, Lu Zhongzhou, was the younger brother of Captain Lu, who had helped Bei Yunj collect evidence against Fu Yanbai. He had a good relationship with Bei Yunj. "Bei Yunj, I didn't want to come." "Then what are you doing here? Experience life?" Lu Zhongzhou put on a fake smile. If Bei Yunj got hurt today, his brother would not forgive him. Not far away, when everyone saw that the famous captains of the two districts actually knew Bei Yunj, they could not help but be shocked. What kind of social circle was Miss Pei in? Everyone she knew was a big shot? At this moment, Xiang Hongtao was standing not far away, his expression a little ugly. He looked at the two idols he had set as his goal, and they did not hide their concern and sympathy for Bei Yunj. He clenched his fists. Chapter 693. After Tan Nan got someone to take these foreign people away, the two of them asked Bei Yunj about the specific incident along the way. The main reason was that they were afraid that there might be a hidden reason for bringing Meng Liang out of prison this time. It was because of Bei Yunj. To the people above, Bei Yunj was much more important than Meng Liang. The two of them were not on the same level at all. After that, everyone was envious when they saw Bei Yunj being brought to Falcon and Wolf's helicopter. What kind of identity does Miss Pei have? Why do even God Tan and God Lu seem to have a good relationship with Miss Pei? Someone could not help but ask Chen Hu. They don't just seem to have a good relationship. Look at God Tan. I've seen him on a mission once before. He's so cold. When he spoke to Miss Pei just now, wasn't his tone too doting? As soon as he finished speaking, Lin Shui, who was beside him, could not help but look at his companion. "Old Gu, are you interested in God Tan?" F*CKU. Heroes should appreciate each other, don't you know that? I'm still envious of White Bear. When he was on a mission just now, no one wanted to protect Miss Pei. Now, Miss Pei brought him to God Tan and God Lu. When everyone said this, they believed a truth. Fools have fools' luck. In the end, White Bear, that silly boy, benefited. On the helicopter. "So, Elder Zhong threw you here?" Lu Zhongzhou was shocked. When he and Tan Nan were on shift at the Computing Institute, they had also seen how Zhong Shanglin doted on Bei Yunj. Even Professor C from the computing department of Yun University next door would take the blame every time he fought with Bei Yunj. However, they did not expect that the person who sent Bei Yunj to the district would be Elder Zhong. Bei Yunj bit the biscuit that Tan Nan had just handed her. Her slow eating manner was especially pleasing to the eye. The men from Falcon and Wolf could not help but look at Bei Yunj lovingly. Miss Pei was really too beautiful. 22nd Literature Network. Even the way she ate the biscuits was adorable. This also led to the need to fight for a spot to protect Miss Pei every time they came to the Computing Institute. White Bear felt the loving gazes directed at Bei Yunj. Was Miss Pei the team favorite of Falcon and Wolf? Why did it seem like all these almighties liked Miss Pei? "Miss Pei, why don't you come to our camp? Our security is stronger, and we can protect you better. At this moment, Lu Zhongzhou still did not know what Bei Yunj had done just now. No need. Elder Zhong will let me go back in a few days. There was an inexplicable sense of confidence in Bei Yunj's tone. All right. Lu Zhongzhou nodded. Subsequently, when they returned to the district, everyone's eyes widened when they saw Bei Yunj and White Bear alight from Team Wolf's helicopter. Why would Team Wolf and Team Falcon appear here? These two teams usually don't go out on missions at the same time. Not far away, Old Master Lang also had mixed feelings. As one of the higher-ups in the district, he could not get these two brats to move. It was not as useful as Elder Zhong's special situation at the Computing Institute. Why is Old Master Lung here? Tan Nan and Lu Zhongzhou greeted Old Master Lung. Chapter 694. I'm fine, Bei Yunj said. Turn around. Zhong Shenglin gestured for Bei Yunj to turn around and let him see if she was injured. Bei Yunj turned around obediently. Even Bei Yunj's sleeves were a little torn. Zhong Shenglin heaved a sigh of relief. It's good that you're fine. Zhong Shenglin changed the topic and pulled Bei Yunj back. He was so angry that his expression changed. Lung, look at what my Gur has suffered. These words made Old Master Lang's heart skip a beat. But in the next moment, Zhong Shenglin said angrily, her sleeves are torn. What if she hurts her hands? Do you know how important these hands are? Old Master Lang was speechless. Very good. This old man had gone crazy. At this moment, when the others saw Elder Zhong in front of them, they were even more in disbelief. Miss Pei and Old Master Zhong knew each other too. What kind of identity did she have to know so many immortals? Elder Zhong, when can I go back? Bei Yunj thought that after today's incident, it was time for her to end her days in the district. She came and left on the same day. This was indeed the best plan. Just as Zhong Shenglin was feeling vexed and sorry for Bei Yunj and was about to agree to Bei Yunj's request, a low voice sounded. Miss Pei, it's my honor to meet you for the first time today. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and turned around. She glanced at a handsome and gentle man in a white coat. You are? My name is Cui Hengchuan. I'm a doctor. The man curled his thin lips. Although Cui Hengchuan did not point it out, Bei Yunj roughly knew what was going on. Bei Yunj turned around. Elder Zhong, when can we? Miss Pei, do you have time to treat you to a meal today? Cui Hengchuan's voice sounded, interrupting her. Bei Yunj's eyes twitched, and she said slowly, I don't like to eat with people I'm not familiar with. These words were very straightforward, but Cui Hengchuan was not embarrassed. Just now, he did it because Bei Yunj would at least give him some face in public. Unexpectedly, Bei Yunj was even more unpredictable than he had imagined. Oh Dr. Cui just wants to chat with you. Zhong Shenglin was concerned about Bei Yunj's illness and hoped that Cui Hengchuan could treat Bei Yunj. Thus, they played matchmaker to their heart's content. However, what was unexpected was that the two captains beside her felt that a dangerous person was approaching Bei Yunj. Miss Pei is just like that. She's more straightforward with people she's not close to. Lu Zhongzhou chuckled and said, How about this, God Tan and I will eat with you. Tan Nan nodded. White Bear quickly added, I want to go too. Bei Yunj. In the office. Dan, I've already applied for a transfer for you. You're more suitable for a civilian job. Old Master Lung said. Hearing this, Dan clenched her fists instinctively and bit her lip. After a while. Why? Is it because I didn't perform well enough, or did someone say something about me? With that said, Bei Yunj and Chen who appeared in Dan's mind. No one said anything about you. I watched the entire mission. Old Master Lang said calmly, after Yunj gave you the topographic map, did you really successfully locate the enemy again? These words made Dan's face pale. Dan, I don't want anyone to joke about their companions' lives at the front line. Chapter 695. Old Master Lang, The transfer procedures can be completed today, Old Master Lang said calmly. Dan pursed her lips. At the very least, Old Master Lang had given her some dignity. Otherwise, if she was transferred for disregarding her companions' lives and destroying the mission, she would be finished in the future. How did Miss Pei get her hands on that map? Dai Dan could not help but ask before she left. When Old Master Lung heard this, he roughly understood why Dai Dan was acting abnormally. As a top student from Yun University's Computer Science Department, Dai Dan was also known as a top student. She was one of the best in the computer science field. However, when Bei Yunj came, Dai Dan's pride was thwarted. However, some people's abilities were God's favorite gift. There was no way to compare them. Dai Dan, don't compare yourself to some people. Some people are born in the clouds, Old Master Lung said in a deep voice. However, people in the clouds might have to bear some so-called price. In the restaurant, Lu Zhongzhou said, Miss Pei, don't you think I'm quite loyal? If you don't want to eat with that weak doctor, I'll help you. Then do you think I'll want to eat with you? Bei Yunj smiled faintly. Lu Zhongzhou was speechless. Why didn't young ladies these days know how to appreciate kindness? Then I won't say anything. Lu Zhongzhou felt wronged, but his expression was very cold. He was obviously unhappy. But who would have thought? Hearing this, Bei Yunj only nodded and found a seat to sit down. This smooth action made Lu Zhongzhou's body freeze. Pretentious. Tan Nan glanced at him and walked over. You're the pretentious one. You're a quiet freak, Lu Zhongzhou retorted fiercely. At this moment, many people were looking over. 80-90-inch Miss Pei's things. Cui Hengchuan handed a small stack of bound paper to Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj flipped through a page and already knew what it was. Her medical records. However, it was not complete. I hope Miss Pei can look for me tomorrow afternoon. Cui Hengchuan only said this one sentence before he continued to eat quietly. Bei Yunj didn't find it noisy at all. On the contrary, the atmosphere was unusually harmonious. Only Lu Zhongzhou had been eyeing Cui Hengchuan covetously. He felt that Cui Hengchuan was not a good person. At night, Bei Yunj returned to her room and casually threw her things on the table. She saw a corner of the business card. She picked it up and glanced at it. Cui Hengchuan was the director of a psychological research institute. He should be quite famous. Otherwise, Zheng Shenglin would not have let her come all the way to this place. Bei Yunj put it on the table again and didn't pay much attention to it. The next day, she didn't look for Cui Hengchuan. She just strolled around the district with nothing to do. Because he knew Bei Yunj's identity, Captain Gao did not make any more demands on Bei Yunj. Instead, he turned a blind eye to it. As long as Bei Yunj did not cause any trouble, it would be fine. After all, it wasn't that he didn't see Zhong Shenglin aggressively settling scores with Old Master Lung because Bei Yunj's sleeve was torn yesterday. Elder Zhong even dared to argue with Old Master Lung, let alone him. Besides, if anything really happened to Bei Yunj in his hands, it would really be over. But if this continued, a few days later, the district was not peaceful again. The young man from the cooking squad came over aggressively and complained to Captain Gao. Chapter 696. The reason was that Pei Qian would encourage the military dogs in the district to steal food from the kitchen. There was also one time when the young man in the kitchen discovered that his favorite big golden retriever was chewing on a plastic bundle of noodles. The noodles kept dropping, but the culprit was wagging its tail as it walked towards the door. Only then did they discover the culprit. Moreover, the most difficult thing was that when they found the culprit and were about to correct him, this person was more proactive than anyone else in admitting his mistake. With a pair of beautiful and clear eyes, it was hard for people to say anything harsh. But the next day, they saw two big golden retrievers shuttling back and forth in the kitchen. One was biting on a rope with eggs, and the other was biting on a bottle of milk. Their black eyes swept across them cutely as they trotted out. Their crime methods were despicable and very daring. Captain Gao, where did you find this ancestor? The young man was miserable. This was the first time he had encountered such a thing in so many years. Captain Gao's eyelids twitched. One had to know that this person would not do anything good. Captain Gao was slightly helpless. This person was sent here by Old Master Lung. What? The young man felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Then won't my noodles, eggs and milk be stolen every day from now on? Captain Gao couldn't bear it. He turned his head, coughed lightly and ordered, "Tell the people below to keep an eye on the military dogs. Don't let Miss Pei come into contact with them." The people present suppressed their laughter for some reason. This was the first time such a young lady had come to the district. However, compared to the rich young masters who came, she was even more of a headache. But Big Gold and Little Gold both like Miss Pei very much, the team member muttered softly. At this moment, the young man smiled slightly. Big Gold and Little Gold are fed meat by Miss Pei every day. How can they not like her? Everyone. Captain Gao, I believe in your ability. Let Miss Pei go back as soon as possible. This is not suitable for her. The young man said seriously. Captain Gao. If possible, he also wanted to send Miss Pei back as soon as possible. However, he didn't know what Old Master Lang and Old Master Zhong were thinking. They felt that putting Bai Yunj in this place was beneficial to Bai Yunj. But in reality, leaving Miss Pei here would only be disadvantageous to them. Moreover, every few days, Falcon Captain Lu Shen and Wolf Captain Tan Shen would come to see Miss Pei. She was indirectly warning him that he had to take good care of Miss Pei. Who would dare to cause trouble for her? A few days later, Bai Yunj had just come out of Cui Hengchuan's office as usual, and her beautiful eyes were slightly bloodshot. Miss Pei, are you all right? White Bear asked cautiously. She felt that every time Bai Yunj came out of Cui Hengchuan's office, she was not in a good state. Her eyes were colder than usual. No one dared to look him in the eye. Bai Yunj glanced at the White Bear. Most of the coldness in his eyes dissipated, but the blood vessels in his eyes did not recede so quickly. Yes. I remember that Dr. Cui is very knowledgeable in psychology. Miss Pei, you are. Before he could finish his sentence, White Bear roughly understood what kind of illness Bai Yunj had. White Bear changed the topic. Can it be cured? Maybe. Although Bai Yunj said this, her expression was very calm. She was already very satisfied with her current state. No matter how bad it was, it would not be worse than before. White Bear remembered and quickly handed the strawberry-flavored milk he had hidden in his pocket to Bai Yunj. After Bai Yunj took it, she shook the pink milk in her hand and raised her eyebrows at him. Chapter 697. Miss Pei, I asked a friend of mine to secretly bring this back for you. White Bear scratched the back of his head in embarrassment. Big Brother Bear, are you sure this isn't your daily stock? Bai Yunj smiled lazily as she asked. White Bear was speechless. Could he go back on his word? Bai Yunj thanked White Bear, opened the straw, poked a hole, and slowly bit on it. Is the set of speed training exercises that I taught you before suitable? Very suitable. I got 9th place in the assessment. White Bear's eyes lit up. Miss Pei's set of exercises was amazing. Previously, their team was often at the bottom of the assessment because they did not pass the test in speed. But according to Miss Pei's training speed, they achieved great results in a short period of time. Miss Pei, did you create this? White Bear could not help but ask. No. Bai Yunj paused for a moment and smiled. It's an old friend. A few days later, Sergeant Gao and the young man from the cooking team looked expressionlessly at the simple scooter that White Bear and Bai Yunj had created. Soon, they saw Big Gold and Little Gold happily dragging the scooter and running around the district. At first, the young man and Sergeant Gao did not quite understand what the scooter was for. In the afternoon, Big Gold and Little Gold stuck out their tongues and sat obediently in front of them. The young man looked into the scooter tentatively. It was a small piece of paper. Can you give me some fruit and milk? Thank you. Sergeant Gao and the young man were speechless. Good heavens! Was she already asking for it? After filling the scooter, the young man unconsciously lit a cigarette and looked at Big Gold and Little Gold's departing figures with a weary expression. Sergeant Gao glanced at the young man. Just as the young man was stunned and realized that he could not smoke, Sergeant Gao said, "Give me one." The young man was speechless. He remembered that Sergeant Gao had not smoked for several years. However, another afternoon, on the training ground, Bai Yunj was bored to death. After bathing Big Gold and Little Gold, she was combing their beautiful golden fur. When some of the team members passed by, they couldn't help but glance at Bai Yunj. Although the cook and Sergeant Gao were not very happy, they still liked this kind of unbelievably beautiful girl. It was simply the most refreshing scenery in the entire district. He just didn't know when it would happen. The discussion around them seemed to have quieted down. When Bai Yunj stood up and turned her head around, she was surprised to see a man's shiny black leather shoes and perfectly ironed trousers. Looking up again, she saw his handsome and noble features. His pair of pale-colored eyes were abstinent, revealing an inexplicable sense of aggression. The corners of his upturned eyes were seductive, and his posture was lazy and carefree. No matter where he stood, he was an existence that no one could take their eyes off. He was refined and arrogant. Bei Yunj, on the other hand, glanced at the mole on the man's sexy Adam's apple. This man's appearance was like a human's. Bei Yunj was the first to react. She was still thinking about the man's appearance. The others couldn't help but discuss. How did this gentleman get in? Someone not far away asked in confusion. It was not easy for outsiders to enter this place. Old Master Lung was also puzzled. Back then, the news of Bei Yunj entering the district was planned to be kept a secret. No one outside knew where Bei Yunj went. Then, how did this young man find her? Chapter 698. The man's gaze was indifferent as he casually glanced at Bei Yunj's wet clothes. Sir, the person you're looking for is Miss Pei? The female team member, who was originally in high spirits, suddenly froze on her face. Yes. After the man replied indifferently, his low and magnetic voice sounded. Yun Yun. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Yun Yun. Wasn't he calling her too intimately? Moreover, the man's voice had a special magnetism to it. It was inexplicably flirtatious and seductive. Bei Yunj walked in front of Hua Shidu and looked at the water stains on her body. Her gaze inexplicably drifted as she called out, Brother! Everyone! Was this still the unruly Miss Pei they knew who liked to torture people? Wasn't she too obedient? Hua Shidu stretched out his hand lazily and naturally brushed Bei Yunj's hair away from her ear. Is it fun? Bei Yunj felt that this question was not ordinary. She said sincerely, I want to go back. Everyone was stunned. This was the first time they realized that Miss Pei was so obedient. It was also the first time they realized that someone was actually standing together with Miss Pei. For some reason, the atmosphere was inexplicably harmonious and sweet. After Hua Shidu found out that Bei Yunj had left, he used his connections and found Bei Yunj's exact location. He had originally thought that this young lady would suffer a little here. However, he did not expect to see this young lady happily playing with the two golden-furred animals as soon as he saw her. All right, good girl. Go pack your things first. We're going home. Hua Shidu habitually scratched Bei Yunj's chin and smiled calmly. Bei Yunj responded and immediately returned to the dormitory. Everyone was still thinking about how the man had scratched Miss Pei's chin just now. Wasn't this scene too doting and sweet? Similarly, Cui Hengchuan, who was standing beside Zhong Shanglin, also saw this scene clearly. As a psychiatrist, he could clearly feel that Bei Yunj's attitude towards this man was very different. It could be said that she relied on him. At this moment, Cui Hengchuan's gaze darkened, but Hua Shidu walked towards Zhong Shanglin. His deep voice was gentle and pleasant. It was neither friendly nor cold. Elder Zhong, it's an honor to meet you for the first time. My surname is Hua. The man handed the gold-stamped business card to Zhong Shanglin and said in a light tone, The little girl is noisy and not suitable for this place. It's better for me to bring her back and discipline her. Zhong Shanglin was stunned when he saw the name on the business card. Hua Shidu. The youngest president of the Hua Corporation. Suddenly, Zhong Shanglin remembered that Si Chengyan had complained that Bei Yunj treated the Hua Corporation too differently. So that's how it is. Gu lives with you? You're her brother? Zhong Xinglin's mind was a mess. He didn't know how Guer had anything to do with the Hua Corporation. He was also the most rumored young president of the Hua Corporation. However, Zhong Shanglin knew very well that Bei Yunj only had 3 brothers. How could there be a 4th brother? When the man heard this, he only smiled and answered the first question. She lives with me. However, this answer was inexplicably ambiguous. Cui Hengchuan's eyes darkened. He never thought that Bei Yunj would actually know the young president of the Hua Corporation. Cui Hengchuan subconsciously clenched his fists. Chapter 699. So that's how it is. Zhong Shanglin nodded instinctively. He sized up the dignified man in front of him a few times. Zhong Shanglin felt very satisfied. Such a man was impeccable. Whether it was his appearance, ability, or family background, no one could find fault with him. Not long after, Bei Yunj had just finished preparing her things when she saw a girl from the district talking to Hua Shidu. She narrowed her beautiful eyes, feeling an inexplicable eyesore. White Bear, who was beside her, was originally very reluctant to part with Bei Yunj, but when he saw Bei Yunj's unhappy expression, his heart skipped a beat. Previously, when he saw Bei Yunj with such an expression, someone must be in trouble. But today, it seemed different. White Bear glanced at Bei Yunj and followed Bei Yunj's gaze. He did not expect to see Wuxia. The simple-minded White Bear felt that something was amiss. Wasn't that Miss Pei's brother? Why did Miss Pei look unhappy as if her boyfriend was chatting with another girl? After thinking for a moment, White Bear probed, "Miss Pei, is this your brother?" "Why?" Bei Yunj did not even turn her head as she continued to look at the person not far away. Fortunately, Wuxia seemed to have only heard what the girl said just now. He quickly turned his head and had no intention of chatting. "I keep feeling that Miss Pei doesn't seem too happy when your brother is chatting with another girl," White Bear said straightforwardly. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she laughed lazily. "Yes, because I have a brother complex." White Bear. Miss Pei had a brother complex with her personality. White Bear felt that his perception was damaged, but not long after, he subconsciously asked, "What if your brother gets married?" Bei Yunj paused. Not long after, she turned to look at White Bear. "You seem to like to mention things that I won't be happy about today." "Miss Pei, wake up. Brother complex has no future." But not long after, White Bear followed Bei Yunj. Along the way, he was worried that Bei Yunj might be smart, but she would eventually go down the wrong path. At this time, Wuxia took Bei Yunj's luggage and asked unhurriedly, "Do you have anything to say to me?" Bei Yunj changed her clothes and put on a white baseball cap. Hearing this, he lowered the brim of his hat and glanced at the people around him. "I'm leaving. Goodbye." Everyone. Very well, there was no need for such a fervent farewell. Only White Bear was the most sincere. He took out all his snacks in front of the captain and let Bei Yunj eat them on the way. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she took it. She did not tell White Bear that the trunk was filled with her snacks. I still have something to tell you." Old Master Lung suddenly called out to Bei Yunj and called Bei Yunj to the side. After giving his instructions, Bei Yunj returned to Wuxia's side. When she saw the girl beside her looking at Wuxia reluctantly, she looked away. On the way, the man sensed the girl's faint gaze and subconsciously curled his lips. Yun, control yourself when you're outside." Bei Yunj glanced at the man's side profile and chuckled. Brother is so popular. Even Bei Yunj herself did not understand why she was looking for trouble again. After thinking for a while, Bei Yunj cleared her throat and was about to apologize. Suddenly, she heard the man's deep and pleasant voice ring in her ear. Popular. Chapter 700. Bei Yunj glanced at him. Just as she was about to organize her words and say something, the man's gaze landed on her. The man's unwavering gaze fell on her body. Suddenly, his thin red lips casually curled up and he bent down. For a moment, the surroundings were filled with his cold and pleasant scent. Before Bei Yunj could come back to her senses, her hand was covered with a layer of warmth. It was the man's warm and dry palm that gently held her hand. It was different from the deliberate intimacy in the past. It seemed to carry some kind of indescribable hidden emotion. It was sudden and unusually passionate. Just like the man's deep and magnetic voice at this moment, it sounded in her ear, causing Bei Yunj's heart to pound and her ears to gradually heat up. "Why are you blushing, Yun?" Bei Yunj. The corners of his lips curled up as he looked at the angry little girl. Wuxia's slender and well-defined fingers wrapped around her hand. His voice was light and his posture was inexplicably ostentatious. His eyes gradually darkened, but they were explicit and ambiguous. Why would my Yun need to snatch what she wants? Bei Yunj was almost scalded by the man's gaze and immediately looked away. She struggled a little. But seeing that the man was holding her hand tightly, she did not feel awkward anymore. Wuxia looked at the little girl with her head lowered. He did not know what she was thinking about. He wondered when this child had been unhappy just now. Not long after, Bei Yunj heard the man's low and indifferent voice and said slowly, "Miss Huang just now was asked for help by a friend." He added, "She helped me bring her home." Bei Yunj looked at him. "I'm not angry." The man curled his lips and said lazily, "Is that so? Then I was happy for nothing." "What are you happy about?" Bei Yunj looked at him subconsciously. At this moment, the man had already opened the car door and touched Bei Yunji's head, careful that Bei Yunji would knock on the door. Happy brother, do you have a chance to coax our Yun Yun? With that said, the man closed the door and returned to the driver's seat. Bei Yunji. Why was it that every time this man spoke, it felt like he was playing with a cat? Not long after, Bei Yunji glanced at the man beside her before she stared at the scenery outside and said casually, Brother, have you ever thought about dating? Wuxia almost stopped when he heard that, but then he heard her say boldly, the kind that doesn't get married. The man seemed to be silent for a long time. Even the light in his eyes was hidden. He glanced at her indifferently. He said unhurriedly, I don't plan to. Bei Yunji. Sure. They couldn't continue the conversation. Bei Yunji sensed that the atmosphere was inexplicably strange, so she tactfully quieted down. But then, she heard the man chuckle softly. He said slowly, we're older men, so we're more conservative. I like to fall in love with the goal of marriage. Bei Yunji nodded and commented, it's pretty good. It seems like Yun Yun is planning to be a hooligan when she falls in love in the future? Wuxia raised his eyelids and looked at her. Bei Yunji. In her previous life, because Pei Junhan had an affair, when he married Meng Liang, he even had a pair of children with another woman. Hence, Bei Yunji saw with her own eyes how Meng Liang was destroyed because of the man she loved the most. Therefore, the impulse that surged up in Bei Yunji towards this man in front of her was something that she had never felt before. Chapter 701. Pei Junhan had given Meng Liang an unforgettable love. Even before Pei Junhan's matter was exposed, Meng Liang's students would always mention this handsome, elegant, and affectionate man in front of Bei Yunji. However, his affectionate relationship was fake. Otherwise, he wouldn't have openly appeared in front of Meng Liang and Bei Yunji on her 14th birthday with his children. Later, Bei Yunji found out that her father wasn't very busy. The reason why he wanted her to be sensible and follow the nanny since she was young was because he liked the children that the woman outside gave birth to for him more. Pei Junhan would be like an ordinary father. He would send the children to school, take them to the amusement park, and praise them because of some unworthy honor. As for her, no matter how much honor she received, she couldn't compare to Pei Junhan's illegitimate children. Because of this matter, Meng Liang had once gone crazy. She had brought Bei Yunji to the higher-ups of the Pei family and mocked and humiliated Pei Junhan's children. They were as stupid as pigs. But in the end, Pei Junhan lost his mind and threw the cup on the table at Meng Liang. But no one expected Bei Yunji to stand in front of Meng Liang. Seeing the blood on Pei Yunji's forehead, Pei Junhan finally panicked. He wanted to coax his daughter not to tell others that he had attacked Meng Liang and her for the sake of his illegitimate children. But when Grandpa Pei barged in and hugged Bei Yunji with heartache, he heard the 14-year-old Bei Yunji say calmly, Grandpa, in terms of ability, Pei Junhan and his children are just defective products. Only I can afford the Pei family. This was a 14-year-old girl talking about her father and her half-brothers and sisters. Grandpa Pei's heart ached. He brought Bei Yunji back and chased Pei Junhan out of the Pei family. He also acquiesced to Bei Yunji's wishes. Bei Yunji knew very well how much Meng Liang had sacrificed for that ridiculous marriage. This was a lesson learned from her predecessor's mistakes. Bei Yunji had always felt that feelings were the best thing to avoid. She couldn't possibly make the same mistake as her mother. But now, she seemed to be facing the same choice as Meng Liang. If they continued forward, they would either be like moths to a flame, or they would get what they wished for. Bei Yunji subconsciously glanced at the man's side profile. But she wanted to get what she wanted. The next day, Bei Yunji asked Song Yao out to play. After filming her scene, Song Yao turned around and saw Bei Yunji waiting outside the venue. She smiled. When she was done, her agent pulled her aside and asked, Little Song, do you know that girl? She's really good-looking. She looks like a superstar. The agent couldn't help but exclaim. With the development of society, it was easy for beautiful faces to be the same. However, Bei Yunji's appearance was undoubtedly the most stunning. Her bone structure was perfect and she was very recognizable. His looks were off the charts. With a bit of polishing, he would be a movie star. Even if he didn't have time, he could rely on his face to become a top-notch celebrity. Sister, her family can buy 10 companies like ours in one go. Song Yao smiled gently. You want to take her in as an artiste? The manager was speechless. She didn't deserve to be disturbed. He couldn't afford to hire such an ancestor. Soon, Song Yao saw that Bei Yunja's expression was not too good as she was reading her comments. Because Song Yao looked like a little white flower, she was very popular with boys, but there were many haters. She had just debuted and there were already many haters. They felt that Song Yao must be a scheming girl. P.S. I'll make up for it tomorrow morning. Chapter 702. Song Yao smiled and pretended not to know. What are you looking at? Bei Yunj took back his phone and glanced at Song Yao. Nothing. I'm picking you up for a meal. At this moment, everyone present could not help but glance at Song Yao and Bei Yunj, their gazes curious and strange. They had been wondering why this new actress looked like a little white flower and was so indifferent to everyone. Today, she only saw Song Yao smiling when she was with this girl who came to fetch her. There were even 2 sweet dimples on her cheeks. At other times, no matter how gentle and beautiful Song Yao's eyes were, there was a faint indifference in them. At first, everyone suspected that Song Yao had a sugar daddy. Otherwise, she wouldn't have had such an opportunity to be the 3rd and 4th female lead in a big production. Although she was not the main lead, her exposure was shocking. However, just as everyone was guessing if Song Yao's sugar daddy would come to pick her up today, an even prettier girl came. Her posture was lazy, but her eyes were only on Song Yao from the beginning to the end. It was unbelievable. It was difficult for the friendship between female celebrities in the industry to reach this level. After Song Yao and Bei Yunj left, someone asked in a daze. This can't be Song Yao's sugar daddy, right? The assistant director beside him could not take it anymore. Are you crazy? He looked like this and was a sugar daddy? What was with the lesbian romance? But the watch on that girl's wrist is worth tens of millions. Hearing this, everyone noticed that the girl who seemed to be dressed in a low-key manner had a branded watch from our nation. And this brand usually only served a few rich people and the royal family in our nation. That watch seems to be a joint design of VMO and our nation's top fashion company, right? I remember that the circulation is only 5 yuan, but why haven't I seen her version before? Hearing everyone's discussion, the manager immediately sent a message to Song Yao. 3-2 Xiao Song. Is Song Song here? Is the elder young lady beside you so capable? I heard that the watch she has is worth tens of millions. It's a joint design of VMO and our nation's top fashion company. Really? Really? The manager was extremely excited, but Song Yao glanced at it and put it back in her pocket. She pulled Bei Yunj to buy 2 cups of milk tea. When they came out, Bei Yunj smiled and said, Tianten, your phone has been vibrating for a long time. Song Yao was already used to Bei Yunj calling her that. Since Bei Yunj had said so, she could only take it out and look at it again. Song Song, ignore me, ignore me. As long as your friend is willing to create hype with you, I guarantee that she'll become an A-lister. Could it be a fake watch? Song Yao's eyelids moved and she replied. It's not fake. She wouldn't create hype. However, the manager seemed to not understand human language and said something that Song Yao could not understand. Why is she so nice to you? It can't be for no reason. Could it be that he has other intentions towards you? That's true. Women might not be able to resist your innocent looks. Song Song, listen to me. As a person, you have to seize the opportunity. You have to choose to accept what you have to accept. Of course, that elder young lady is really good-looking. You're not the one who's at a disadvantage. Song Yao was speechless. Was he crazy? This was the first time Song Yao could not help but curse in her heart. It was not rare for same-sex celebrities to fall in love in the industry. Chapter 703. However, in the next second, the manager changed the topic. Is that watch real? I think those 5 watches don't look like the one elder miss is wearing. Song Yao was speechless. The fashion company the manager was talking about was Jasmine's father's company. Song Yao knew Bei Yunj well. Bei Yunj would never use Jasmine's imitation. Bei Yunj inadvertently glanced at her chat and leaned over to say, My watch. Jasmine's father gave it to me. She did not know much about watches. She just thought that it looked quite pleasing to the eye, so she wore it. Song Yao was speechless. That person in power actually gave it to her personally. Yunj, do you know Jasmine's family too? Bei Yunj replied, I know his grandfather too. Last time, Titch and Jasmine's parents, including their grandfather, had video called her alone. However, she was working on a project and hung up after chatting for about 10 minutes. She could understand why a student's parents would want to talk to her about something like this. After all, it concerned Jasmine and Titch's future. However, hearing this, Song Yao felt that something was strange. Did she meet his parents?
Yunj, you and Jasmine are.
Song Yao hesitated. Don't think too much. Bei Yunj's eyelid twitched and she stopped biting the octopus ball. I used to work on projects with Jasmine and Titch, so I know them. With that said, Song Yao's hands trembled unconsciously. But it was not unexpected. After all, her Yunj could even do something like recommending someone. It didn't seem strange that she knew Jasmine and Titch's parents and grandfather. 12-inch right. This watch is for you. Bei Yunj remembered and took out a box from her pocket. It's from Jasmine's family. I sent an extra one. Jasmine talked to Bei Yunj for a long time before Bei Yunj agreed to not tell Song Yao that he was the one who sent this watch. After all, it was impossible for Jasmine to give something to a girl to be cheap. However, Song Yao would definitely not accept anything too expensive. Bei Yunj's watch and Song Yao's watch were not in the number of releases. The only difference was that the one Bei Yunj was wearing was handmade by a famous designer from the VMO industry. As for Song Yao's design, Jasmine had stayed up all night for a month to learn how to design from that designer. The professional part was still handed to the VMO team. Song Yao's thin eyelids moved. Is this extra? Bei Yunj turned around and saw the carvings on the watch. Sy Bei Yunj. She thought that Jasmine was just not clear-headed occasionally and had written half of the report about Song Yao. She did not expect that the moment he encountered Song Yao, the thing on his neck became a decoration. Bei Yunj suddenly thought of another problem. She lowered her head, turned on her watch, and looked inside. Ah! Bei Yunj. At this moment, Song Yao was a little strange. Yunj, why are there 2 more dots on your letter? Fortunately, Song Yao did not think too much. Maybe it wasn't designed by one person. Bei Yunj was very calm. Song Yao furrowed her eyebrows. Then what's with this watch? Did you give it to me or did Jasmine give it to me? Bei Yunj took a deep breath. Me. Song Yao nodded and was relieved. She held Bei Yunj's hand and said, buy me a fake watch next time. It's too expensive. Chapter 704. Hearing this, Bei Yunj turned and glanced at her. You're a female celebrity and you're wearing a fake watch? What's wrong with that? When the time comes, I'll be on the trending list again. Song Yao's eyes were gentle and pretty, but her words were very thorough. Bei Yunj was speechless. Her mentality was quite good. You definitely didn't ask me to come over today just to have a meal with me, right? Song Yao felt that Bei Yunj seemed to be very busy too. Sometimes, it was very difficult to contact Bei Yunj. Yes, there's something. It's not easy to make up my mind. Bei Yunj finished the meatballs slowly and was about to poke another one when she suddenly heard Song Yao's stomach growl. In order to maintain her figure, Song Yao paid more attention to her diet. Even the drinks she bought at the milk tea shop were sugar-free lemonade. Song Yao's face flushed red immediately, but Bei Yunj turned around. Open your mouth. Hearing this, Song Yao was stunned. She opened her mouth instinctively and was stuffed with an octopus ball. It had been a long time since she had eaten something so sweet. After Bei Yunj threw the box into the rubbish bin, she said, you're very beautiful now. You don't need to lose weight anymore. Song Yao was 164 centimeters tall and weighed less than 90 kilograms. Besides, Bei Yunj's eyes landed in front of Song Yao, intrigued. Aren't they all growing where they should be? Song Yao's ears turned red and she immediately pressed Bei Yunj's hat down. Her gentle voice was angry and shy. Hooligan. Bei Yunj, whose eyes were dark, was speechless. Pretty good. She had been called a hooligan for 2 days in a row. Bei Yunj and Song Yao strolled as they went to the restaurant, not noticing that people on both sides were paying attention to them. Soon, Bei Yunj and Song Yao came to a restaurant. Miss, would you like to have a private room or eat in the hall? The waiter asked with a gentle smile. Single. Song Yao interrupted her. The hall is fine. Then. The waiter hesitated for a moment and glanced at the black card in Bei Yunj's hand that she had yet to take out. Did she have to eat in the hall even with a VIP card?
Big sister, let's go to the main hall.
Bei Yunji's lips curved into a smile. We'll save as much as we can. The waiter. Do rich people nowadays like to pretend to be poor? Was the VIP card in her hand something that could be bought with money? Song Yao suddenly said, Miss, swipe my card.
Bei Yunj.
Not long after, Bei Yunj looked at the menu and ordered dishes that she usually didn't eat. However, when Song Yao saw it, she ordered more expensive dishes. He didn't care about his salary card at all. I've ordered everything you like. I didn't know if you liked the rest, so I ordered the most expensive one. Song Yao blinked. Song Yao was indeed capable of dealing with Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj wanted to save money for her, but she wanted to let Bei Yunj know that she didn't mind spending money for her. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she laughed again. All right, thank you, Boss Song. What is it that you can't make up your mind about? Is it about relationships? Song Yao guessed right. Actually, this was not difficult to guess. However, Song Yao didn't think that Bei Yunj couldn't settle other things. Relationships. Bei Yunj hummed in response.
However, she did not notice that the old man sitting at the table next door suddenly trembled, as if he was suppressing some kind of excitement.
Someone you like?
Song Yao was a little curious.
Yunj, who do you like? Actually, there were many outstanding boys around Bei Yunj, but Song Yao inexplicably felt that none of them seemed to match Bei Yunj. Seeing that Bei Yunj did not speak, Song Yao probed, Is he from your school? Chapter 705. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment.
No. He's already working.
Song Yao asked again, Which company is he working in? Hua Corporation. Song Yao was surprised. This was the largest company in the country. What position?
Bei Yunj said, President. Song Yao said, a young president in his mid-20s.
Bei Yunj was not satisfied.
He's not 25 years old.
There's only a difference of 4 years. Song Yao was speechless. At this moment, Song Yao felt like she was living in a dream. The president of the Hua Corporation. This was not on the same level as the tycoon she knew in the past. Song Yao could not help asking softly, Do you like him a lot? Bei Yunj thought for a moment. I think so. Song Yao was speechless. Song Yao was a little confused by this answer. However, not long after, Song Yao changed her question. Then do you want to do something intimate with him? Song Yao was a little embarrassed to talk about kissing. But who knew? Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she suddenly laughed. Her bright and beautiful eyes were a little unruly and deliberate as she said slowly, I do want to sleep with him a little. Instantly, the innocent girl froze and her ears turned red.
But it's a little different.
Bei Yunj took off her hat impatiently and combed her black hair casually. What's different? Bei Yunj seemed to be silent for a long time. She glanced at Song Yao and looked away. If he gets close to me, my ears will heat up. Song Yao was speechless. Fortunately, it was just a casual remark. She was really worried that Bei Yunj would really roll onto the bed if she liked a man. Then you like him. Yunj, what are you conflicted about? Song Yao asked. Tian, do we have to be together just because we like each other? What about after we get together? Get married. Song Yao did not hesitate. Bei Yunj looked at her and did not say anything. Yunj, Song Yao hesitated. Do you want to date more? Bei Yunj narrowed her eyes. No. Other than Hua Shidu, no one else would be able to get what they wanted. Song Yao thought for a moment and held her hand unconsciously. She said with a smile, Yunj, I can't give you an answer to this either. But wait a little longer. You will know the answer. The Bei Yunj that Song Yao knew was arrogant and unruly. Wherever she went, she was like a ray of light. However, Song Yao could also see that Bei Yunj was unable to make a decision today. It was like a resistance to the unknown. Or perhaps it was fear. But she also believed that Bei Yunj would make the best choice. Hua Corporation. Master Du, aren't you spoiling your little brat too much? As soon as he finished speaking, Yu Hanran felt the man's cold gaze. Your little princess, your eldest miss, and your queen. Is that enough? Yu Hanran slumped on the sofa, exhausted. What are you thinking about? Getting a top-notch computer research room for your little girl. Even if your little girl likes computers, she's only at the stage of playing online games. You still want me to contact all the developers and professors just so that your little girl can play computer games in a top-notch research room in the future?
The noble and handsome man narrowed his eyes and glanced at the diagnosis and psychological evaluation results in his hand before putting them back in the drawer. He took off his gold-rimmed glasses carelessly and said lazily, "You haven't done it after so long?"
President Hua, do you know how many researchers chased me out when I went out to buy equipment? Chapter 706. In this scientific research field, there are some people who really can't be bothered with just because they are paid. Like that professor he from before.
I told him to let him bid, but he directly used a broom to chase me out.
Yu Hanran said faintly, Master Du thinks it's simple. Why don't you try it too? In a month, he had been chased away 7 or 8 times with a broom. He felt that as a domineering CEO, he was very aggrieved. Thank you for your hard work. Hua Shidu only responded with a grunt. He took another document and handed it to Yu Hanran. Yu Hanran flipped through 2 pages of the contract. This was a project collaboration that he had mentioned to Hua Shidu several times that he wanted. But Hua Shidu had never agreed. But now, for his little girl, he dared to throw out any benefits. Yu Hanran sighed.
I suddenly feel that my happiness is very cheap.
Then do you still want this happiness? Hua Shidu sat opposite him. His well-defined hands picked up 2 teacups and filled them to the brim. Yu Hanran immediately stuffed the contract into his arms, afraid that Hua Shidu would be inhumane. Yu Hanran glanced at him faintly. You dote on this young lady so much. Do you believe that sooner or later, she will get a ladder and lift the roof of your house? Lift the roof of your house?
The man looked up halfway, his tone light and lazy.
Yu Hanran was speechless. Fine. There was no saving this person. Then, just as Yu Hanran was about to remain silent, someone suddenly walked in from the door. Old Mr. Fernans pushed the door open angrily. Hua Shidu, that girl is a vixen. Yu Hanran, who already knew the old man, was stunned. Then he laughed. He knew who the old man was talking about. She's a vixen. She seduced Master Du so badly. Yu Hanran teased. When the old man heard this, he turned around and looked at Yu Hanran expressionlessly. Yu Hanran was speechless. Okay, sorry to disturb you. Yu Hanran put down his teacup and left silently.
The old master of the Fernans family was not a good-tempered person. He did not have the guts to provoke him.
You went to see her again?
The man's voice was low and indifferent. His good-looking and seductive eyes were filled with laziness and indifference. The old man knew that his grandson had never liked him and the Fernans family. Even his nationality was from his mother. I just want to meet your future girlfriend, right? But that girl is so irresponsible at such a young age. The old man was furious. You've clearly taken my money. Why aren't you doing anything? She returned it to you. Hua Shidu knew Pei Yunja's character better than anyone. But she still fooled me. How can she bully the elderly like this? The old Mr. Shidu. Shidu, you have to change to another girl. This girl doesn't look like a good girl. Hua Shidu did not speak. It was obvious that he did not intend to pay attention to him. At that moment, the old man panicked. Do you know? Really? The man's indifferent and noble eyes did not reveal any surprise. Instead, his tone was light and unhurried. You're not getting married either? The old man felt dizzy. If the young lady resists, I can't force her to get married in the future. It sounded like he didn't care much about it. Chapter 707. Did that girl drug you? The old man was about to explode from anger. I still have a meeting later. You should go back early. The man glanced at his watch, then looked up and said methodically, Don't find trouble with her. If that young lady is unhappy, I don't think anyone will be happy. His meaning was obvious. If the old man made that young lady unhappy, Hua Shidu would make him regret it. Are you threatening me? Do you think I'll be afraid? The old man stood up angrily and left quickly after he finished speaking. In the long corridor, the butler followed beside the old man and asked tentatively, Old sir, what should we do now? He had heard the conversation between the old man and Mr. Hua clearly, and did not dare to interrupt.
The butler's eyelids twitched. But that card has been cancelled.
When the old man heard this, he held his breath and was at a loss for words.
After the old man calmed down, he turned to look at the butler and asked for advice. Why don't we transfer some money to her card?
The old man's eyes lit up and he felt that it was a good idea.
Sure. Quickly arrange it. The butler hurriedly agreed. But he was afraid. If Miss Pei still did not agree, the old man might even cheat Mr. Hua into marriage. Why was this little girl so fast? Why don't we meet Miss Pei next time? The butler asked. Bei Yunj returned to the Computing Institute and did not realize that she had made the top 10 headlines. The title was #Song Yao's private meeting with a same-sex friend #. The next day, the discussion topic soared. What did I miss? A little white flower can even make it to the trending searches if she has a secret meeting with a same-sex person. Did she buy it? Originally, this should have been posted by the other party to specially slander Song Yao. However, unexpectedly, because of Bei Yunj, whose face was a little blurry, the popularity continued to rise. However, these words gradually made the netizens focus on Bei Yunj and their attitude changed drastically. A sugar daddy? No way, no way. A sugar daddy's looks are off the charts these days? Even with such poor quality pixels, I can feel this young lady's divine face. No way? But I've always felt that Swai has a backer. Fans, don't reply. If you reply, you're right. Little white flower is so pitiful. Didn't she call herself an otaku killer? Why is it a sugar daddy cry? Ha 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 ha, after watching so many female sugar daddies for so many years, Song Yao's sugar daddy is a clear stream. I announce that Song Yao wins this round. As Song Yao's fan, I didn't expect that the first time my sister Yao was praised was because of the sugar daddy's looks. Dog head. I can ask for 10 of them at once. Big sister sugar daddy. Is it convenient for you to debut? Even through the screen, I feel like you're the person I love. In the morning, the manager was still trembling. Her artist had been defamed, but the public relations department might not care about her. When will Song Yao's sugar daddy debut? Do I still have a chance to be liked by Song Yao's sugar daddy? The agent gritted his teeth, took a deep breath, and opened the office door. However, she didn't expect that there would be so many people staring at her from outside. After all, there were too many people defaming Song Yao. What's more, this time, he was directly slandered, saying that the young mistress was his sugar daddy. Is Song Yao's sugar daddy real? Before the manager could say that she was crazy, she heard another voice. I'm envious because Song Yao is definitely the first person to have a sugar daddy who has gained nearly 500,000 fans. The scariest thing was that this was only the popularity in the morning. Chapter 708. What did you say? The manager's face was filled with fear and his voice was trembling. 500,000 haters? Everyone was speechless. After a while, the staff beside her explained, they're not haters, they're CP fans. This setting was indeed very interesting. A little white flower, a third-rate female celebrity, and a good-looking rich man. The manager asked. What? It was his first time encountering such a large-scale increase in fans. It was actually because of a rumor about a sugar daddy? Don't tell me this is your marketing? Did you hire her? After someone asked, everyone was stunned. Can I afford to hire her? The manager chuckled. That watch in her hand is comparable to our small company. Hearing this, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. It was really a sugar daddy. At this moment, the expression of another female manager, who seemed to be listening unintentionally, did not look too good. Before Song Yao appeared, the entire company's resources were placed on her artist, AI Rulin. However, ever since Song Yao appeared, her resources had almost surpassed AI Rulin's. And now, Song Yao's reputation had actually changed for the better through a scandal. Wasn't this the biggest disadvantage for her? Isn't Song Yao cutting off her own future by doing this? Do you think a big director will find an artist like her? With that said, the manager left with a dark expression. Seeing this, the others felt a little awkward, but they hurriedly said, Aya, Song Yao has a sugar daddy anyway. What's there to be afraid of? Song Yao's manager's expression did not look too good. Who told you that it's a sugar daddy? That's Song Yao's good friend. Soon.
Song Yao also found out about this and got the studio to release a statement quickly. She did not plan to care about anything else. However, she did not expect Song Yao to become the ultimate beneficiary of this matter. She was even angrier. Until someone reminded her that her attention was on the two watches in Song Yao and Bei Yunja's hands. In the afternoon, they searched the books. On the headlines, there were two new terms about Song Yao. Hashtag Song Yao's sugar daddy wears a fake watch. Hashtag Song Yao's fake watch. Hashtag the ranking of the terms was neither up nor down for a long time before it suddenly appeared at the top of the list again. Xinrui Media. Are you sure there's no problem this time? The capable female manager asked. Sister Lisa said it herself. Song Yao's manager boasted in their company about how expensive Song Yao's sugar daddy's watch was. But what was the result? Sister Lisa checked and found that there was no such model. After that person finished speaking, he was somewhat gloating. Who would dare to wear fake goods these days? However, Song Yao's sugar daddy insisted on pretending that he was rich. He had a watch worth tens of millions of yuan and even gave Song Yao one. Wasn't this just asking for trouble? Then, continue to release the news. I don't want an artist that has the same type as my artist to still be able to jump around in front of me, the woman said calmly. There won't be a problem this time. If they want to hype up a couple, let's see if they have the ability to do so. At the filming location. Xiaofan, where did you get this watch? The manager hurried to Song Yao's side, ignoring the strange gazes of the others. My friend gave it to me. That Missy? The manager asked. Song Yao nodded. Yes. Take it off and show it to me. Hearing her manager say this, Song Yao frowned unconsciously. But in the next moment, he obediently took off his watch and gave it to her. A few minutes later, the manager was puzzled. Your watch seems to be real. It has such a model. What's wrong with your Missy? Chapter 709. Maybe it's not within the range of release. Song Yao thought for a moment. The manager was speechless. Was this what she meant? What did it mean that it was not within the range of release? He still did not know which wealthy family in the country could get in through the back door on a product jointly released by our nation's #1 fashion company and VMO. Did something happen? Song Yao regained her senses and immediately snatched her manager's phone, wanting to see the headlines. Then, just as the manager was panicking and did not know how to explain, she looked down and realized that there was no black post on her phone. What's going on? Where's the black post? The manager was stunned. This was the first time she had encountered such a strange thing. Song Yao's eyelids twitched. She felt that her manager was acting strangely and returned the phone to her. In Xinrui Media, the expressions of the staff changed. What the F***CK? The assistant who had just chatted with the director asked, What's wrong? Song Yao's post. That person was stunned. They're all gone. Even our accounts have been banned. Hearing this, the assistant's expression changed and he immediately questioned, Are you kidding me? How can you be banned? The 20 to 30 accounts I have are all gone. That person looked sad. Call them and ask. The assistant was anxious. However, they did not expect that when they called the company to ask, the other party was not as polite as before. Instead, they said that they had posted too many illegal things today, so they were banned. Besides, those accounts would not be returned in the future. The staff of Xinrui Media was furious. Do you believe that I'll sue you? It's up to you, but let me remind you that no matter where you post the draft today, there won't be a second result. With that said, the other party hung up and did not even have the intention to say anything more. But at this moment, they had already regained their senses. Previously, they had posted many posts to step on Song Yao, but nothing had happened. But today, all of their accounts had been banned. It was obvious that they had posted someone they shouldn't have. Everyone felt an inexplicable chill run down their spines. In the past, there had been many sugar daddies in the industry, but such a thing had never happened. But what was with Song Yao's sugar daddy? Who was this person? Did she have such a strong background? How could this be? The assistant murmured with a pale face. But that person's pixels were so blurry. This couldn't be considered exposure, right? Why was there such a tight security measure for that person? Soon, the director of Xinrui Media also found out about this. Her expression did not look too good as she quickly called her acquaintances. However, she didn't expect that her friends, who were usually so close to her, would all avoid her like she was a snake or scorpion. Even the company's partner who was in the middle of signing a contract had broken the contract at the last minute. This made the director's hands and feet turn cold. For the first time, he felt that he had offended someone he shouldn't have. Who was Song Yao's sugar daddy? I really didn't expect that I would personally report Master Pei's scandals one day. Si Chengyan clicked his tongue. What a messy company. They don't even know who they're messing with. Zhong Shenglin sneered. The importance that the higher-ups attached to Bei Yunj was no less than the secrecy of the nuclear engineering experts back in the day. Chapter 7:10. Si Chengyan thought for a moment and found Jasmine on their private messaging app. He sent him a message. Soon. Jasmine's father's company, the Lorenzen Corporation, issued a global statement. Lorenzen Corporation. Thank you for your support for the joint watches of Lorenzen and VMO. We will continue to contribute everything to the fashion trend. In addition to releasing 5 watches, the chief designer, Theodore, also gave his annual work to a talented young lady. Picture. After the message was sent, when everyone left comments, they realized that the official account had been broken in the comments section. Lorenzen Corporation. Congratulations to Mr. Theodore for successfully chasing after a celebrity. The big boss said that Mr. Theodore must treat us to a meal. Picture. The photo released by the Lorenzen Corporation's official account was indeed more exquisite and designed than the other 5 watches. In the comments section, the photo posted by the Lorenzen Corporation was very blurry. They could only see a watch that Theodore had personally designed on a slender wrist. It was obvious that the owner of this photo was the young lady mentioned by the Lorenzen Corporation. Everyone was itching to know what kind of god it was. It was actually a watch that Master Theodore had personally designed. On the other side, when Xin Rue Media saw that screenshot with bad pixels, they instantly felt terrible. Wasn't that a screenshot of Song Yao's sugar daddy's photo they had taken? It was actually designed by Master Theodore himself. The people in the public relations department were stunned. Where did Song Yao find this sugar daddy? Was this sugar daddy an immortal who had descended to the mortal world to undergo a tribulation? Why didn't you investigate more? The director was furious and swept the things on the table to the ground. Director, that watch was just issued by the Lorenzen Group. The assistant felt wronged and flustered. Meanwhile, the female director's heart was already in a mess. What should she do? Song Yao's man actually had such a powerful background. In the future, how would she dare to do anything to Song Yao? Bei Yunj, who was in the research lab, did not know that the weather outside had changed. Seeing Bei Yunj walk out, Si Chengyan was still sitting by the long corridor and whistling. Master Pei, how is it? When will the project end? Initially, Si Chengyan only wanted to tease Bei Yunj. However, unexpectedly, Bei Yunj glanced at Si Chengyan. It's not a big problem. After this project is done, I can take a break. Si Chengyan couldn't react in time. Wait, what are you talking about? How long will it take to finish your project? 2 or 3 months. This project is quite big. Bei Yunj unconsciously raised her eyebrows. Marcus has a project and needs my help. After I finish this project, I'll follow up on his project. Compared to Bei Yunj's first project, the progress of Bei Yunj's project this time was indeed quite slow. Others, on the other hand, would spend decades on a single project. Why was she acting as if she was trying to get results? I heard that Marcus's project has been going on for 2 years. Are you sure you can finish it by the end of the year? Si Chengyan asked hesitantly. Until the end of the year? Bei Yunj frowned unconsciously. Then how could she take a break? In her previous life, Bei Yunj had also worked on this project frequently, making the people in the industry stay away from a devil like her. Chapter 7:11. When Si Chengyan saw Bei Yunj frown, he suddenly felt that he was thinking too much. Just as Si Chengyan was about to speak, Bei Yunj suddenly received a call. When Si Chengyan heard this, Bei Yunj's voice became gentle. Grandma, what's wrong? Director Lin stood by the table cutting flowers and said worriedly, Gur, have you seen you recently? Bei Yunj's eyes moved. I've been busy recently. You hasn't come to see me in a long time. Director Lin sighed. I miss him a lot. Then I'll go and see you tomorrow. Bei Yunj nodded and thought for a moment. Director Lin was still amiable. Grandma isn't thinking about you. Bei Yunj was speechless. Shouldn't she hang up? Go take a look at your second brother. Is something wrong? Director Lin asked in a tone that was discussing with Bei Yunj. In fact, Bei Yunj had never rejected any of Director Lin's requests. Okay, Ming. Why don't we do it tonight? Tomorrow, you can come to my place. I'll cook something delicious for you. When Bei Yunj heard this, she chuckled. Grandma, what do you think of Grandpa Bai? Instantly. Director Lin didn't say anything either. I think it's good to find a partner, Bei Yunj thought for a moment and said. Previously, Director Lin lived with the Qin family, but not long after, she moved back. At the end of the day, she was still not used to living with the Qin family. Bei Yunj did not want Director Lin to live alone at her age. If she was with Bai Mingzhang, she would have a companion. Child, why are you always worrying about such a mess all day long? With that, Director Lin hung up in a hurry. I still have something to do. Go back to the Qin family early. Seeing that Bei Yunj wanted to say something but hesitated, Si Chengyan wanted to laugh. This was the first time he had been hung up on. Master Pei, which ancestor made you give in? Si Chengyan asked. Dean Lin Longjun. Bei Yunj glanced at him and knew that Si Chengyan had always treated Director Lin as his idol. As expected. Hearing this, the smile on Si Chengyan's lips froze. What did he miss just now? So, his idol was so close to him just now? Master Pei, are you going to Director Lin's house? Si Chengyan was a little excited. No, let's go to the Qin clan. Bei Yunj glanced at him and then left the computing institute. Qin family's old residence. Second young master, don't continue with the album. Your hearing is still recovering. What you're doing is counterproductive. The doctor had just finished diagnosing Qin Yu and his head hurt even more. Well, Brother Yu is going to release an album in 2 months. We can't delay it, doctor. Doctor, can you think of a way to treat it as soon as possible? 2 months? With second young master's condition, he'll need at least 4 months to recover. The doctor frowned. When old Master Qin heard this, his face darkened. He had not lost his hearing in old age yet, but Qin Yu had suffered such a serious injury because of recording a variety show. You're not allowed to make another album. Before your ears recover, you're not allowed to return to your lousy company. Old Master Qin was infuriated. The arrogant and handsome man's eyes were as dark as ink and his voice was lazy and perfunctory. Okay, I'll listen to you. Who knew? The old master turned around and instructed. Guard the door. Second young master is not allowed to take a step out for the next 4 months. Qin Yu was speechless. Before Bei Yunj, who was at the door, could walk in, she heard the old master's loud voice. Chapter 7:12. The corners of Bei Yunj's lips curled up and she could not help but laugh. Where did this old tyrant come from? Grandpa. On the surface, Bei Yunj still did not want old Master Qin to fly into a rage out of humiliation, so she called out politely. In the next moment, when the old master heard that it was his granddaughter's voice, his expression softened when he turned around. The 3 grandsons present were speechless. You still know how to come back? I thought you didn't want Grandpa anymore. You heartless bad girl. Although the old master said this, he held on to Bei Yunj, unwilling to let go of his granddaughter's hand. If it was in the past, the old master would not speak to Bei Yunj like this. He always felt that his granddaughter was introverted and might take his words seriously. However, the current Bei Yunj was even more troublesome than her 3 brothers. With one sentence, she could make the old master's beard explode with anger, and with another sentence, she could coax the old master's heart. She liked to torture people, but was not stingy with apologizing and coaxing people. With such a bad personality, although the elders did not say it out loud, they doted on her very much. Even Qin Yu and the other 2 could feel that the old master was being led by the nose by his granddaughter and did not know it. I'm heartless. Bei Yunj's eyes curved and she placed the snack she had prepared on the table. She smiled lazily. Old master, do you want to try the dessert that your heartless granddaughter queued for 2 hours to buy for you? Hearing this, the old master turned around and realized that Bei Yunj was still carrying a box of exquisitely packaged desserts. He could not hide the joy on his face, but he still coughed lightly. So be it. Why did you bring desserts? Bei Yunj smirked and did not say anything else. The old master's health was not good and he could not eat sweet things. However, the old master did not take it seriously and often ate desserts secretly. He was often caught by the butler and reported to Bei Yunj. Although Bei Yunj had a headache, there was nothing she could do. She could only call the old master from time to time and reason with him. The old man probably hadn't eaten anything sweet during this period of time. Carefree Lovebook Network. It just so happened that Bei Yunj knew that the desserts in this shop had always been sweet and tasty with very little sugar. That was why she had specially queued up to buy it for old master. Grandpa. Qin Yu suddenly spoke. The old man did not even turn his head. No, in your dreams. Qin Yu's thin eyelids twitched and he said, I want to go out tomorrow. The old man almost lost his temper, but he held it in. His face darkened. What are you going to do? I'm going to the company to get something. Then let the manager do it. After the old man finished speaking with a cold face, the manager beside him felt his legs go weak. It was indeed not easy for Brother Yu to grow up in such a high-pressure environment. Qin Yu's eyebrows moved and he licked the tip of his teeth lightly, not knowing what to do with the old master. Everyone in the recording studio will be waiting for me tomorrow. Moreover, even if I don't go out, won't I still have to listen to you shout? The old man was furious. You're still twisting words and forcing logic, aren't you? Qin Yu's eyebrows moved. Wasn't he telling the truth? You can go out, but you can't go to the recording studio. You can't go back to the company. The old master said. But, before Qin Yu could agree, he heard the old master say, besides, Gu has to follow you before I agree to let you go out. Bei Yunj's action of drinking tea paused. Qin Yu looked at Bei Yunj, but he was a little conflicted about his Gur going to his company. Chapter 7:13. No, Gur still has summer homework. Where will she find the time to go out with me? Qin Yu immediately retorted. Hearing this, it was only then that Bei Yunj suddenly remembered that she still had summer homework. This kind of familiar yet unfamiliar task was speechless. However, in her previous life, Bei Yunj had skipped grades too quickly, so she did not do much winter and summer homework. However, not long after, Bei Yunj remembered the mission Director Lin had given her. Suddenly, everyone heard Bei Yunj say, I don't have much winter homework either. Not only Qin Yu, but even Qin Luyan and Qin Lang, who were beside him, could not help but look at Bei Yunj. Although they had not seen Gur much during this period of time, they often sent messages to Gur. However, they could still feel that Bei Yunj was indifferent to them. But in the end, Qin Yu had actually made it unknowingly. Gur was even willing to go out with him. Qin Luyan's expression was calm, but Qin Lang's displeasure was written all over his handsome face. Qin Yu must be playing hard to get. Gu was still young and did not know how sinister people were. Qin Lang was furious. Old Master Qin was also surprised. He did not expect Bei Yunj to agree. He thought that his 3 useless grandsons had not made any progress at all. Grandma wants to see second brother tomorrow, Bei Yunj said. Instantly, everyone understood. So it was because of Director Lin that Bei Yunj was closer to Qin Yu. Director Lin, then let your second brother go with you. The old master agreed. At this moment, Qin Lang suddenly interrupted. I want to see Grandma too. The old master's eyelid twitched. Why were his 3 grandsons so thick-skinned now? They even called her Grandma directly? Does she know you? Why are you going? The old master chuckled. Previously, when Director Lin was recuperating in the Qin family, Qin Lang was the only one who had not returned. Now, he still had the cheek to visit Director Lin? What does Grandma need? I can buy something for Grandma. Qin Lang looked at Bei Yunj with a pitiful look in his bright black eyes. Even his unruly short silver-white hair made him look like a little puppy, making people want to reach out and rub him. Bei Yunj remembered that in the original plot, Director Lin did quite like Qin Lang. But in this life, the two of them had never met before. She didn't know why Qin Lang suddenly wanted to meet Director Lin. I'll ask Grandma. Bei Yunj looked at Qin Lang indifferently and did not reject him directly. However, according to Bei Yunj's temper, she would not reject Qin Lang directly. At this time, Before Qin Lang could rejoice, he felt a cold gaze from somewhere. He turned around and saw Qin Luyen retracting his gaze. His posture was refined and noble, and his handsome eyes were elegant and indifferent. Thin gold-rimmed glasses were placed on his high nose bridge, and the light hid the darkness in the man's eyes. At first, Qin Lang thought that he had sensed wrongly. However, when he turned around, that cold gaze gathered on his back again. Qin Lang was speechless. Then, Qin Lang turned around and Qin Luyen slowly retracted his gaze. He was working. If he wanted to accompany Gu'er to Grandma's house, just say it. Why was he still acting so mature and steady? However, on the surface, Qin Lang still did not have the guts to argue with Qin Luyen. Chapter 7:14. When his eldest brother was ruthless, he could even throw his parents overseas, let alone him. Qin Lang took a deep breath and smiled again. I think it's better for eldest brother to go with us. As the heir of the Qin family, we should visit them. Turning around, Qin Lang asked, Eldest brother, what do you think? Qin Luyen only looked at Bei Yunj, his low and calm voice sounding a little gentle. I'll listen to Gu'er. Qin Lang was speechless. I'll make a call and ask. With that said, Bei Yunj went outside to call Director Lin. When Director Lin heard this, she was a little surprised, but she hurriedly replied with a smile, Of course you're welcome. If you don't mind. From the bottom of her heart, Director Lin hoped that Bei Yunj could have a good relationship with her three brothers. Therefore, when she heard that Bei Yunj wanted to bring them over, she was even happier. Okay. Then don't get anyone to prepare any gifts for me. Director Lin instructed. I'll listen to you. After Bei Yunj was done chatting, she hung up the call and told Qin Yu and the rest. The next day, Bei Yunj arranged an early time, saying that she hoped that Qin Yu would go with her to pick out some gifts and ask the old master to let them out. However, in reality, she remembered that Qin Yu wanted to return to the company. On the way, Gu'er, get in. After Qin Yu got out of the car, he opened the door for Bei Yunj. However, Bei Yunj only stood on the spot. If you want to go back to the company, you can go back now. Grandma said yesterday that you don't need to bring gifts. She did not plan to let the three of them have a good relationship with her Director Lin. Although Qin Yu's relationship with Director Lin was already good enough. Qin Yu was stunned. He did not expect Gu'er to find an excuse for him on purpose. What about you, Gu'er? I'll go and pick something. You can go to Grandma's when you're done, Bei Yunj said as she glanced at her watch. However, Qin Yu frowned. Although the weather was not very hot, his Gu'er was a girl with delicate skin and tender flesh. Qin Yu thought for a moment and said, My manager knows quite a lot about what the elders like. How about this? Gu'er, accompany me to the recording studio and wait for my manager to choose. What do you think? Hearing this, Bei Yunj looked a little tempted. After so many times, she still couldn't find a gift that Director Lin liked. Perhaps he really had to try it on someone else. Okay, thank you. Bei Yunj nodded. Qin Yu didn't mind Bei Yunj thanking him and only smiled. Gu'er, don't worry. Second brother will definitely satisfy Grandma. Bei Yunj's eyebrows moved and she glanced at Qin Yu. After a while, he nodded. Seeing this, joy appeared in Qin Yu's eyes and his lips curled up. Very quickly, he sent a message to his manager and brought Bei Yunj to the company. Downstairs in the company, this had already caused a commotion. Film Emperor Qin. Someone said in a low voice, trying to suppress his excitement. Hey, who's that girl beside Film Emperor Qin? Someone asked subconsciously. However, soon, someone recognized Bei Yunj's identity. It's the eldest young lady of the Qin family, Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj. I like her too much. She's a cool and beautiful young lady. It's a pity that the fourth season of This Journey doesn't have any scenes left for Pei Pei. Yeah, they even blocked the interview. It's probably because the Qin family doesn't want Miss Pei to debut. Hearing this, everyone was heartbroken. Such a beautiful young lady should belong to everyone. P.S. There are still 1 to 3 chapters left. It's slower. After I finish writing the first chapter, we'll continue to add to the top 10. Old Su can't write too many chapters. He can only guarantee the quality. At most, there will be 6 to 8 chapters.
Chapter 7:15. Fortunately, the employees of this company had a clear rule, so no one took photos. Soon, Qin Yu brought Bei Yunj to the recording studio upstairs. "Brother Yu, do you have anything you want to drink?" The assistant walked over and said with a smile. However, her eyes could not help but stay on Bei Yunj with fiery eyes. Why was Brother Yu's sister so beautiful? She was indeed the best actor's sister. Feeling the female assistant's gaze, Qin Yu turned slightly and blocked her view of Bei Yunj. Warm water and a cup of cappuccino. Qin Yu knew that Bei Yunj liked to drink sweet things. However, when the female assistant felt Qin Yu's possessiveness towards his sister, her eyelids twitched unconsciously. She really wanted Best Actor Qin's fans to see how their cold and abstinent Best Actor Qin was obsessed with his sister. The female assistant felt that Best Actor Qin's gaze was a little guarded against her. She said with a fake smile, "We girls actually like beautiful girls too." Hearing this, Qin Yu nodded slightly and looked at the female assistant even more guardedly. "Just keep a proper distance." The assistant was speechless. What kind of strange boss was this? Soon, the assistant went to prepare the drinks, while Bei Yunj had already gone to the recording studio with Qin Yu. Bei Yunj had never been to a recording studio before. It was her first time there, so she found it quite interesting. "Yo, Brother Yu, where did your sister come from?" The moment Qin Yu heard his friends teasing, he pulled Bei Yunj's shoulders towards himself calmly. His arrogant and handsome eyes were languid, but there was a cold warning in them. "I brought her from home." Hearing this, the boss of this company, Yang Xian, finally regained his senses. This was Qin Yu's biological sister. Yang Xian was in disbelief. He thought that Qin Yojiao was already beautiful enough, but he didn't expect this real young lady to have really inherited the Qin family's unique appearance. She was simply a living god. Gorgeous ebook. The girl was excessively beautiful. She was wearing a casual white dress, but it outlined her slender waist, making one's heart itch. However, her bright eyes were languid, but there was a hint of coldness in them, making people not dare to blaspheme her. "So it's our little sister." Yang Xian showed great enthusiasm and took 2 steps forward, but was blocked by Qin Yu. "Mine, not yours." Qin Yu smiled. Yang Xian. Wasn't this person too petty? However, to be honest, the only time he saw Qin Yojiao was when Qin Yojiao came secretly. However, the person beside Qin Yu was brought here by Qin Yu himself, who said that the young masters of the Qin family only doted on the real young ladies. This pampering was obviously very real. "Mr. Qin, let's discuss your arrangement." The woman next to him had a gloomy look in her eyes. If she didn't think that Qin Yu was indeed very talented in this aspect, she wouldn't want to work with him either. Hurry up and do your arrangement." After saying that, Yang Xian suddenly realized something. "Oh right, are your ears okay? Why don't we just put it on speaker instead of headphones?" No. This voice did not come from Qin Yu, but from the woman just now. Zhu Limin. He had won 3 large-scale music arrangement awards in the country. He was indeed a very talented arranger. Yang Xian froze. Qin Yu said, "Put on your headphones." Qin Yu. Suddenly, a voice sounded from the side. Everyone was stunned and looked at Bei Yunj instinctively. Chapter 7:16. Bei Yunj was silent for a moment before she said slowly, "Grandpa asked me to watch over you." Her meaning was obvious. If anything happened to Qin Yu, she would not be able to explain it to the old master. This was also the first time Bei Yunj had taken the initiative to mention something to Qin Yu. After a while, only then did the others hear it. Their best actor Qin suppressed his laughter and asked, "Guher, are you concerned about second brother?" Everyone was speechless. With all due respect, they really couldn't tell that this elder young miss was concerned about him. Wasn't best actor Qin's expectations of his biological sister a little too low? Zhu Limin, who was beside her, could not help but sneer when she saw that a rich young lady with no ability dared to criticize her professional matters. "Mr. Qin Yu, I respect you. You're a very talented person. But you have to know what kind of benefits and opportunities our cooperation can bring you." Zhu Limin's tone was slightly arrogant. "Actually, Qin Yu, you should know very well that you've been at a bottleneck for a long time. Besides, the reason why you're so popular is because of your movie achievements and this face that is indeed worth mentioning." With that said,
The people in the recording studio did not dare to speak. They could feel the tense atmosphere. Yang Xian's expression did not look too good either. He was a little angry at Zhu Limin's attitude. But in the next moment, a faint snort attracted everyone's attention. Bei Yunj turned around and picked up the cappuccino her assistant had brought over. She said slowly, "What you lack, you see what others have. It's quite realistic." Everyone was speechless. This elder young miss of the Qin family seemed a little wild. No one in the industry had ever insulted Zhu Limin like this, right? Indeed. Her biological brother was still her biological brother. Although it seemed like this elder young miss did not like her biological brother very much, she could not stand others insulting him. At this moment, Qin Yu only called out to Gu'er, but the smile on his lips could not be suppressed. Yang Xian glanced at Qin Yu. 85. Where was his future? Would he be so happy that his sister insulted someone for him? Didn't he know that he would be the one to bear the consequences? Just as expected. The next moment, Zhu Limin slammed the table and stood up with an ugly expression. Sister Min, don't argue with a child. Yang Xian hurriedly smiled apologetically. You're already an adult, but you're still a child? Zhu Limin sneered. That's true. A child who grows up with a silver spoon in his mouth will never grow up. After that, the others didn't know what to say. In fact, most people knew that Bei Yunj had entered the Qin family when she was 17 years old. It had only been exposed recently. Madame Zhu. The man's indolent and dignified eyes were as dark as ink. His tone was cold and carried a hint of warning. It was obvious. Zhu Limin had crossed Qin Yu's bottom line. Qin Yu, you're not the only one who contacted me. Other than you, several top singers have also contacted me. Zhu Limin narrowed her slender eyes and suppressed her anger. She smiled and said, I chose you because you are indeed talented. But I don't want this product to be eliminated from the market because of a bad cooperative attitude. After all, they were people from the entertainment industry. Zhu Limin still wanted to fight for a win-win cooperation and make Qin Yu's attitude better. Let's look at the arrangement. Qin Yu glanced at Zhu Limin, but seeing that there were so many staff present, he could not let them work for nothing. Then, Qin Yu instructed Bei Yunj a few times and only used his uninjured ear to listen to the arrangement. Chapter 7:17. Zhu Limin pursed her lips and endured it before she started to discuss the arrangement again. Yang Xian leaned over, wanting to change the topic with Bei Yunj. He asked, What did brother Yu say to you just now? He told me to ignore you. Bei Yunj glanced at him slowly. Yang Xian was speechless. Was he human? He was even wary of his brother? However, looking at Bei Yunj's aura and personality, Yang Xian found it hard to imagine that this was someone who grew up in a welfare institute. When he first heard this news, he thought that Qin Yu's biological sister was probably an introverted and timid girl. However, he never thought that she would have such a personality. Yang Xian did not dare to talk too much. He only chatted intermittently, praising Zhu Limin for her talent and how many awards she had won, so that Bei Yunj would not be so rash. But who would have thought that the girl next to him would remain indifferent, her expression calm and composed. Half an hour later, Zhu Limin frowned and started to make things difficult for the assistant from just now. Who asked you to add something to my water? The assistant was stunned. I'm sorry, Miss Zhu. I didn't know that you don't like honey water. This is lemon honey water. It's used to moisten your throat. Brother Yu often. Before she could finish speaking, Zhu Limin stuffed the cup into the assistant's hand. The cup lost its balance and fell onto Zhu Limin's body. Zhu Limin could not help but scream. Bei Yunj, who was beside her, could not help but raise her eyebrows when she saw this. She looked like she was watching a good show. However, unfortunately, Zhu Limin happened to see Bei Yunj. Are you gloating? Zhu Limin's expression darkened. Miss Zhu, you're thinking too much. Bei Yunj glanced at her and quickly smiled. I only plan to watch the show. Yang Xian was speechless. Qin Yu's biological sister was really amazing. It was his first time hearing someone answer in such a serious tone. It made him furious. You! Zhu Limin had just stood up when Qin Yu, who was beside her, spoke. Xiaofan, who asked you to pour water for Miss Zhu? Yifan was at a loss. No, Qin Yu asked in return, "Did I give you a salary to let you work for someone else?" Yifan froze. After a while, Yifan could not help but take another look at Qin Yu before she carefully glanced at Zhu Limin, who was about to explode from anger. Zhu Limin's face darkened. She picked up the blue handbag and sneered. Film Emperor Qin is really amazing. He's protecting his sister and his employees. Let's see if you can protect the reputation and sales of your next album. After that, no matter what Yang Xian said, Zhu Limin left with a dark face. Before Zhu Limin left, she said sarcastically, "I'd like to see which musician Film Emperor Qin can find to work with to get out of this crisis." After that, Zhu Limin had also disappeared from everyone's sight. Yang Xian turned his head and comforted everyone. "It's not anyone's fault. If she's gone, so be it. Anyway, is this the first time our Film Emperor Qin is tearing someone apart?" All the employees, Film Emperor Qin himself, Yang Xian changed the topic. "It's about this." Indeed, just as Zhu Limin had said, this was a crisis. When they had exposed it back then, they had specially caught the public's appetite. They said that the musician this time was a symbol of the music industry. Now that Zhu Limin had left, where were they going to find a symbol? If they found some lousy ones, they might be scolded to death. Especially the company. P.S. Third update. Be good and stay in the 7th place. I'll update in the afternoon. On the first day, maintain the ranking. There should be more updates. Pinch. I've organized a monthly ticket lottery. Thank you for your support. Chapter 7:18. If he found someone with a low status, not only would he be mocked by others, his fans would also scold the company for being useless. However, with Qin Yu's current status, it was quite difficult to find someone who was on par with him. Besides, what Zhu Limin said was not entirely wrong. Most of Qin Yu's development was because of the popularity of his movie. However, this was not Qin Yu's intention. Back then, when Qin Yu didn't rely on his family and worked hard to build this company with Yang Xian, he didn't have such good resources. And the path of the domestic music industry was not as easy as the film industry. Therefore, Qin Yu could only try acting at that time. Yang Xian had always felt guilty. Because Qin Yu's musical talent was indeed very outstanding. However, because of the popularity of the movie, it was easy for everyone to ignore Qin Yu's musical talent. Then who else can we find to replace Zhu Limin? Hearing this, Yang Xian also looked troubled. Zhu Limin was a veteran gold medal musician. It was even more difficult than ascending to the heavens to contact a musician like Zhu Limin in the country. Let's try contacting someone overseas. The main theme of this album is a national style song. Qin Yu pointed at the score with his slender fingers. His ink-like eyes were relaxed and his temperament was languid. He was extremely sexy. Only 2 foreign musicians have tried our national style. The effect is not bad. Hearing this, they immediately knew who it was. One was Country R's Prani. The other was from K Country, but because she slandered Country A, she ended Country A's development. Looking for that person from K Country was courting death. As for finding Prani from Country R, that was also quite difficult. But I heard that she has a good relationship with the members of the International Musicians Association now. Her value has probably increased a lot recently. She might not accept our invitation either. Yang Xian frowned. At this moment, a staff member beside him suddenly said, "I heard that Brother Yu's sister is in the International Musicians Association. Can't you ask her for help?" With that said, everyone regained their senses. Yes, that young pianist, Qin Youjiao. It was said that Qin Youjiao was also popular in our country now. Come and read. If Qin Youjiao was the go-between, it would definitely work. If it wasn't for the fact that the news released back then didn't match Qin Youjiao's identity. Actually, it was possible for Qin Youjiao herself to cooperate, however, in the next second. Qin Yu's voice sounded with coldness. "I only have one sister." After saying this, everyone suddenly shut up and instinctively glanced at Pei Yunj beside them. Therefore, was the fake daughter really out of favor? However, it was obvious that what Qin Youjiao could bring to the Qin family was much more than Pei Yunj. "Little fan, go and contact Prani and see if it works," Yang Xian immediately said. The assistant nodded and immediately went to make a call. Unexpectedly, in less than 10 minutes, The assistant returned with an unpleasant expression. President Yang. Plani didn't agree. Plus, she and Julie Min are friends. Everyone immediately understood what was going on. Julie Min acted faster than them. Isn't this Zhu guy too much? Yang Xian was furious when he heard that. Would they only be happy if she caused trouble for them after leaving? Now, all paths had been sealed. Yang Xian didn't dare to think that the big shots in the International Musicians Association could be invited. Mr. Du Xiao is also quite suitable. Beside him, Pei Yunj suddenly reminded him. Everyone was speechless. They couldn't even invite Prani, and she wanted them to invite the president of the International Musicians Association? Then the question was, did Du Xiao have nothing to do and come to them for a collaboration? P.S. Be obedient and remember to update more monthly votes. The rankings are dropping a little. Chapter 719. The others could not help but feel their eyelids twitch. Yang Xian took a deep breath and smiled. Miss Pei is right. Actually, I think Yun is very good too. Should I ask her to write Spring Night Banquet again? Bei Yunj was speechless. Yang Xian felt that this elder young miss really did not know the hardships of the world. Their company was not as lucky as Yu Man Ran. He did not know where Yu Man Ran had met Yun. Ever since Yun wrote songs for Yu Man Ran, her popularity had soared and was close to Qin Yu's. This year's Golden Melody Award would definitely be Yu Man Ran. It was said that Yu Man Ran had already been nominated for the Gretel Music Awards overseas. Yu Man Ran was going to take the international route. All right. Bei Yunj thought for a moment. Perhaps part of the reason why Madame Zhu had left in such a hurry just now was because of her. Everyone was speechless. Sure, she was really an otherworldly elder young Mississippi. Soon, Yang Xian, who was thinking about how to solve the problem, heard his assistant's shocked voice again. Julie means she. What now? Yang Xian was annoyed at the mention of this old woman's name. Let me tell you, you'd better not mention it. She said that she's working with Fei Yi. Instantly, the entire venue fell into silence. Fei Yi was considered a unique singer in the music industry. Besides, it was said that Fei Yi was planning to make a national album this time. In terms of popularity, Fei Yi was not as popular as Qin Yu, but with so many years of experience in the music industry, he had saved many die-hard fans. This time, Fei Yi and Qin Yu had released songs together, so Fei Yi's fans would definitely not back down. This old woman must be doing it on purpose. She knows that Fei Yi and we are competitors this time. Yang Xian gritted his teeth. Besides, Julie Min knows all our arrangements. She must. Hearing this, Bei Yunj went forward to pick up Qin Yu's arrangement drafts and slowly glanced at them. This made the others look at Bei Yunj a few more times. However, Bei Yunj suddenly turned to Qin Yu and said, "We can go and see Grandma now." Everyone was speechless. They had thought that this elder young miss was thinking of something. It turned out that they were thinking too much. Qin Yu also stood up. His arrogant and superior eyes were relaxed and there was no seriousness or anxiety in them. Instead, he reached out carelessly and lifted Bei Yunj to tidy her clothes. The young and handsome man smiled. His magnetic voice low and gentle. Let's go." Yang Xian asked. "Qin Yu, was this brother really not anxious at all?" "I still have to visit my elders. We'll talk about this next time. I can't deal with it right now." Qin Yu glanced at his watch and left with Bei Yunj. Brother Yu's sister doesn't seem to care about Brother Yu at all. Someone whispered. Yes, Brother Yu is taking care of her. Someone felt indignant for Qin Yu. Why? Wasn't she worse than that Qin Yo Jiao from before? I remember that Miss Qin Yo Jiao knew to bring some food for Brother Yu when she came to see him secretly. Who allowed you to talk about someone else's sister? Yang Xian glanced at them warningly. If you don't want to be fired by Qin Yu, you know what to say and what not to say. After all, it was obvious how much Qin Yu valued and doted on Bei Yunj. Only Qin Yu's assistant felt that Bei Yunj was not as bad as they said. In the car, Qin Yu chatted with Bei Yunj from time to time. He had no intention of bringing his bad mood to Bei Yunj. Suddenly, must I work with someone? P.S. Second update. Remember the monthly votes. Chapter 720. Bei Yunj only glanced at him through the rearview mirror. With that said, she looked at the scenery outside the window. Qin Yu was stunned for a moment before his thin lips curled up and his low and magnetic voice sounded. Second brother will find a good one. There won't be a problem. With that said, Bei Yunja's eyes moved. She knew that Qin Yu wanted her to feel more at ease. She lowered her head and did not say anything, only playing with her phone. After meeting Qin Luyan and Qin Lang, the four of them went to Director Lin's house. Although Director Lin's house was not big, it was more than enough for one person to live in. The lighting and ventilation were quite good. However, it could not compare to a big villa like the Qin family's. The moment they entered the house, Bei Yunj did not notice that even Qin Lang was not wearing a jacket like before and had an unruly expression. Instead, he was wearing a clean white t-shirt and his lean back was straight. Even his black earrings had been taken off and his handsome face was nervous. On the other hand, Qin Luyan, who was beside him, looked the same as usual. However, his sweaty palms revealed his nervousness. Soon, Director Lin opened the door and did not expect Bei Yunj to come in. There were three extremely handsome young men behind her. Each of them was more eye-catching than the other. "Hello, Grandma," Qin Lang said immediately after regaining his senses. However, he was slightly reserved. Beside him, Qin Luyan also nodded slightly, but his tone was gentle and polite. "Director Lin, come in." Director Lin smiled and wiped her apron with both hands. Her eyes were gentle and she always made people feel that time was peaceful. The Director Lin in front of him was much younger than the Director Lin in Qin Lang and Qin Luyan's memories. Her hair was not white either. However, the gentleness on her face was still the same. Only such a gentle person could raise a gentle girl like Guer. "I've prepared some food. I don't know if you like it, but there are some snacks on the table." Director Lin smiled. However, Bei Yunj glanced at Director Lin. "It's not like Grandma won't buy it for you, child." Director Lin was amused. "No, I just feel like I've fallen out of favor." Bei Yunja's lips curled up and she looked away lazily. "Grandma, we like the snacks you make," Qin Lang said immediately. Although his silver-white hair usually appeared unruly. But now that it was so obedient, it inexplicably made people want to touch it. Okay. Grandma will get something to eat." Director Lin was also a little obsessed with looks. Looking at the three brothers of the Qin family, she couldn't stop smiling. Haguer's brothers were indeed handsome. Bei Yunj, on the other hand, went back to her room. Leaving behind the three brothers, the air was cold. "Ah Lang, big brother, don't be nervous. Our grandmother is very good." Qin Yu sat lazily on the sofa, looking very familiar. It was obvious that he was showing off. "Qin Lang, was Qin Yu asking for it?" Coming. Try the desserts I made this morning." Director Lin happily held 2 small plates of desserts. After the 3 members of the Qin family expressed their gratitude, they all took a piece from the plate. It was as delicious as the desserts made by Director Lin in his previous life. Qin Luyan and Qin Lang had different thoughts. However, when she regained her senses, she found that Qin Yu had already eaten a lot. Qin Lang was the first to be unhappy and immediately started to fight with Qin Yu. Seeing this, Director Lin was a little caught off guard. She did not expect the 2 noble young masters of the Qin family to suddenly fight over the desserts she had personally made. P.S. Third update. The good guys have dropped the rankings. There are still 2 more updates. Can the good guys get it back? Chapter 721. At this moment, suddenly, Qin Luyan stood up and tidied his sleeves slowly. He said in a low voice, "Is Director Lin preparing to cook? Let me help you." With that said, Qin Luyan glanced at them calmly and said slowly, "They like to eat like this." What he meant was that Qin Yu and Qin Lang only liked to fight for food. Wasn't this something only children did? Director Lin looked away and nodded. "Mr. Qin, do you know how to cook?" Qin Luyan looked down, the light in his eyes dark. "Director Lin, just call me Ah Yen. I know how to cook." Back then, because his legs were crippled, Qin Luyan had been depressed for a long time. It was always Director Lin who came over to talk to him. When he walked out of the shadows, it was Director Lin who taught him how to cook personally. Director Lin was a little surprised. She did not expect Qin Luyan to take the initiative to get close to her. Then, she smiled. "Okay. Then Ah Yen will cook with Grandma." Grandma's cooking is very delicious. Yan can learn from her too. Hearing this, Qin Luyan's lips curved. Very quickly, he took off his suit jacket, revealing his muscular waist. The sleeves of the white shirt inside were also slowly rolled up. It looked like it was the first time a rich young master had cooked. However, when Director Lin started to cook, she realized that Qin Luyan really knew how to cook. Even the amount of seasoning she asked Qin Luyan to add was just right. This surprised Director Lin a little. Yan, do you cook often? Director Lin had a feeling that this upper-class young master, who looked like he did not do any household chores, really knew how to cook. I did for a while. Qin Luyan smiled. Then, when Director Lin was about to bend down to take something, Qin Luyan took it for her faster. Chapter 536 Literature. Grandma, if your waist hurts again, let me cook. Director Lin was stunned. Yan, how did you know that my back hurts? A dark look flashed past Qin Luyan's eyes and his eyes were gentle and obedient. I saw you pat your back just now. No one could imagine how Qin Luyan had sent Qin Youjiao away back then. It was even harder to tell that this person could do something like force her to abdicate. I see. Although Director Lin did not remember when he had patted his lower back just now, he did not think that Qin Luyan would lie to him. Subsequently, Director Lin didn't leave either. Instead, she watched Qin Luyan cook while she helped him. Yan, give Guo some more time. That child isn't someone who would go to a dead end. Director Lin smiled at Qin Luyan in a chatting tone. Qin Luyan stopped washing the rice and said in a low voice, I woke up too late. There were some things that couldn't be changed even if they were reborn. As long as you put your heart into it. Director Lin helped Qin Luyan tidy up his sleeves that had slid down. Some things will cause cracks in people's hearts for the rest of their lives. She smiled gently. It's funny to pretend to be peaceful, but it's sad that we can't cross this hurdle. Principal Lin had watched his young lady grow up with his own eyes. He knew that his young lady couldn't possibly hate these three people. Even now, Gu was very different from before, but her heart was still kind. Gu is a gentle person. She was in the past and still is. Director Lin smiled and said, You guys are good children too. Grandma likes all of you very much. In the room. Chapter 722. Soon. Bei Yunj crumpled the score again and stuffed it into her pocket. She called Yu Man Ran. You still know to look for me. Yu Man Ran sounded aggrieved. She had seen the headlines last time. The girl beside Song Yao was definitely Bei Yunj. Gu was actually so good to Song Yao. They clearly knew each other first. Your relationship with Song Yao is too good. Gu, do you not like me? We clearly knew each other first. Yu Man Ran didn't try to hide it, and her tone was a little pitiful. Bei Yunj was speechless. What were they thinking about? Yao Yao's dessert is quite delicious, Bei Yunj thought for a while and explained casually. Yu Man Ran was speechless. He didn't expect that the saying, if you want to capture a man's heart, you have to capture his stomach first, was also applicable to women. I, Yu Man Ran, have long legs and a slender waist. I'm the young lady of a super wealthy family, but I was defeated by a small biscuit. Yu Man Ran said faintly. Bei Yunj's eyelids moved and she said, Man, I need your help with something. She took out the ball of paper from her pocket and looked at it for a while before saying, I want to collaborate with Qin Yu on an album. I heard that the person who collaborated with Qin Yu on the album is Zhu Limin, right? Yu Man Ran had also looked for Zhu Limin before, hoping to work together. In the end, Zhu Limin didn't like her and chose another singer. However, what was regrettable was that ever since that time, Zhu Limin had been unable to write a hit song and was criticized for not being as capable as before. This also made Yu Man Ran feel confident that he was a coy. I saw her in the morning. Bei Yunj added. She left quite angrily. Yu Man Ran started to suspect that she had left because of Bei Yunj. Then Gur, why don't you tell Qin Yu directly? After all, he's your second brother. Yu Man Ran asked in confusion. There's no need for that. I'm partly responsible for what happened this time. Bei Yunj said slowly, ask them to send you the score and then send it to me. All right, I got it. Subsequently, just as Bei Yunj went out, she heard Qin Yu answering a call. What is it? Qin Yu's voice was a little indifferent, with an imperceptible coldness. The person on the other end of the conversation was Qin Yojiao. She had heard from Pu Lani that Qin Yu had asked her for a collaboration, but Pu Lani had rejected him. Qin Yojiao laughed, her voice soft and gentle. Second brother, is there a problem with your album? Actually, I can help you. Prani and my teacher know each other. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. With that said impatiently, Qin Yu wanted to hang up. But in the next moment, Qin Yojiao hurriedly said, Wait. The people not far away probably knew who the caller was. Bei Yunj lowered her eyes and thought for a moment before she sent a new message to Yu Man Ran. No need. Then, Bei Yunj returned to her room and started reading. At this moment, in the long corridor, Qin Yojiao was persuading Qin Yu. Second brother, actually, I'm not worse than Pu Lani. If you don't want to work with Pu Lani, you can work with me. I'm already an E-rank member of the International Musicians Association. All members of the International Musicians Association needed to be assessed, and there was also an elimination system. Those below E-rank would be eliminated. Qin Yojiao was indeed very talented to be able to pass the E-rank examination at her age. With that said, pride appeared in Qin Yojiao's eyes. Chapter 723. This was something Bei Yunj would never be able to catch up to her. Qin Yu should know who was more useful to him now, right? However, on the surface, Qin Yojiao still said, Second brother, I just want to help you. I think Yunj definitely won't mind. Second brother, you. Listen, I don't want to hear your voice the next time I answer the call. The Qin family has nothing to do with you, and I have nothing to do with you either. With that said, Qin Yu did not give Qin Yojiao a chance to speak and hung up the call. This made Qin Yojiao's expression change and she gritted her teeth. She did not understand what Qin Yu was thinking. How could Bei Yunj compare to her? Either he cared about Bei Yunj's feelings or he was not even willing to accept her help. Taking a deep breath, Qin Yojiao laughed coldly. Sure. She wanted to see how they were going to resolve this matter. In the evening, after dinner, Bei Yunj was sent back first. Qin Yu and the rest went to the company. A few days later, Bei Yunj saw the summer vacation homework sent by Lu Yuanxi. Her eyelids moved and she took a deep breath impatiently. In the end, she sat in front of the table and started to do her homework. Although the questions were simple, it did take a lot of time to finish the entire book. Towards the end, Bei Yunj did not have the patience to write the process and directly wrote the answers. After 3 days, Bei Yunj finished all her summer vacation homework, except for the 30 essays. On the 4th day, Bei Yunj received a call from Yu Man Ran. Before going to Yu Manran's company, she threw the summer vacation homework she had written to Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing, who were working hard in the library. After entering the door, Yu Man Ran immediately called Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj looked at her and took off her mask. Did something happen? Your second brother. Yu Man Ran felt that Bei Yunj's relationship with the Qin family was not good, but he did not think that Bei Yunj would really stand by and do nothing, so he called Bei Yunj over. As expected, Bei Yunj glanced at her. What's the matter? As for your second brother, because he hired a new musician, he was accidentally photographed by the paparazzi. That's why he's been criticized quite badly. Yu Man Ran couldn't help but glance at Bei Yunj. The reason why Qin Yu was being defamed was because there was too much attention on him. Therefore, some unscrupulous media outlets would not let go of this opportunity. Most of them exaggerated and said that Qin Yu had hired a low-ranking musician this time, but in order to cheat fans of their money, he insisted that he was a gold medal musician. However, what Yu Man Ran found even more indescribable was that because of this incident, the new musician actually went back on his word. Bei Yunj could not help but raise her eyebrows. She never thought that Qin Yu wouldn't ask Qin Yojiao to help him. All this time, Bei Yunj had never thought that Qin Yu really planned to cut ties with Qin Yojiao, including Qin Lang and Qin Luyen. Do you want to interfere? Yu Man Ran asked cautiously. Get them to send the manuscript over before 8. Bei Yunj thought for a moment and said calmly. In the end, this was also the original owner's wish. Okay. Yu Man Ran smiled and heaved a sigh of relief. As a friend, Yu Man Ran still hoped that Bei Yunj could have a few more family members who could enter her heart. He didn't want to shoulder everything by himself. He didn't know where this habit came from. In the afternoon, many people were watching the commotion, including Qin Yojiao, who was far away in our nation. However, no one expected Yu Manrin's studio to suddenly update a post. Yu Manrin's studio. Who is it? Who said that our Yun is a low-ranking musician, aggrieved? Then let's welcome our low-ranking, super celebrity artist Yun's annual work. It will be a heavy hit. Please pay more attention to Best Actor Qin's new album Qin Yu Studio. P.S. 2 more chapters. 6th place on the monthly votes list. It's been hard on my good guys. Keep it up and continue to update in the afternoon. There will also be additional chapters. Chapter 724. Now, Fei Yi's fans were about to explode. It's teacher Zhu Limin. Ah, my child is so awesome. Ha 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 ha. Are you guys responding to Best Actor Qin? Best Actor Qin's career in the entertainment industry has been smooth. I didn't expect him to fall because of a new album. So, what's going on with Best Actor Qin's family? They didn't manage to invite a musician and are still trying to convince the fans? Gold medal musician? Isn't that teacher Zhu Limin? Fei Yi's fans had long disliked Qin Yu's family, but Qin Yu had too many film and television achievements. He was indeed worthy of being the best actor of Sanqi. But this time, since they had a chance, of course they had to trample on him. Including Zhu Limin. After seeing the comments online, she felt exceptionally happy. That Qin Yu, including that ignorant sister of Qin Yu, should pay the price for humiliating her back then. Soon. Everyone saw that after Zhu Limin reposted it, she sent a message. Zhu Limin. I like young people who love music. This also gives me more inspiration. Not relying on a fan base or marketing. The meaning was obvious. She was mocking Qin Yu's family. Relying on fans and marketing was not true love for music. Not long after. Hashtag Zhu Limin Qin Yu hashtag was trending again. Most of them were on Zhu Limin's side. After all, Zhu Limin had a certain status in the music industry. And Qin Yu was in a mess because of the new musician. So, another group of people started to criticize Qin Yu. However, about half an hour later. No one expected Yu Manrin's studio to suddenly update a post. Yu Manrin's studio. Who is it? Who said that our Yun is a low-level musician? Yun, aggrieved. Then let's welcome our low-level, super Yun's annual work that we have created with all our might. It will be a heavy hit. Please pay more attention to Best Actor Qin's new album Qin Yu Studio. Everyone who suddenly received this message was shocked. So, the person Best Actor Qin was really working with was Yun. Ah! You said that Yun is a gold medal musician. Are you forcefully lowering Yun's status? She's a proper musician. Ha ha ha, you said that Yun is a gold medal musician. Have you considered Yun's feelings? Ah! Teacher Yun actually opened a small account. Crazy bird. No way. Our Yun has a low ranking? Song is the pinnacle. She single-handedly groomed the top singer, Sister Man. She's a member of the International Musicians Association in Country A. Her latest song, Spring Night Banquet, has been praised as the best national style both at home and abroad. I want to ask, which composer is better at fighting than our Yun? At this moment, everyone who had been eating melons for the past few days felt their scalps go numb. Then what about the new musician? Everyone was still a little stunned and could only click on the personal page of the new musician who had become popular because hashtag new musician Yaojia rejected Qin Yu's request hashtag. Yaojia. Thank you for your concern. I've been very busy recently and didn't accept teacher Qin Yu's invitation. His meaning was clear. Qin Yu had invited him, but he had rejected him. Looking at this statement, Qin Yu's fans did not dare to say anything. After all, the photos had been taken. But he didn't expect that. In the end, the person Qin Yu was working with would be Yun. This time, Qin Yu's fans could finally hold their heads high. Many passers-by also came over to watch the show. Are you there? The weather is very good today. I think Best Actor Qin should be drinking tea and chatting with Yun. Take a guess. Will the winner of this year's Golden Melody Award and Gretel Music Award be you or Yun? P.S. I've changed a little. Babies. Can you look at the previous chapter again? Pinch your face. You've fallen from 7th place in the monthly votes list. Be good. Remember to vote and maintain the updates.
Good evening, young ladies. Chapter 725. Brother, I know you're a little talented, but don't scam others. You accidentally scammed a god. Ha 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 ha. Is Ning saying that best actor Qin can't afford to hire you, so he can only look for Wei Wen? At the same time, other than fans, there were also some famous musicians who followed Yu Manrin's studio. It was not because of anything else, but because in the past, news of YUN could only be found through Yu Manrin's studio and the official account of the International Musicians Association. So, the big shots in the industry followed Yun's account and reposted this post to express their doubts. Everyone clicked on it and saw that they were all professors of XX Music Academy, classical musicians, and members of the International Musicians Association. Everyone's heart ached. This new musician had failed miserably. He had just started working and he had already scammed YUN. At the same time, seeing this message, Xiao Jie almost lost his grip on his phone and his scalp started to turn numb. Yun. How did this happen? He just felt that compared to being mocked with Qin Yu, it was better for him to use Qin Yu's popularity to climb up. However, who would have thought that Qin Yu would actually invite YUN? If Qin Yu could invite YUN, why would he invite him? Xiao Jie could not figure it out, but the truth had already happened. His face paled. Not long after, the 2 interviews that he had arranged previously called to cancel. It's over. Xiao Jie's voice was trembling. Everything he had worked so hard to manage was gone. In less than an hour, Yun had gained nearly 300,000 fans. However, she did not send any messages for a long time. Even her profile picture was pure white and there was no introduction. Suddenly, he turned off Yun's fans and realized that YUN had updated her status. YUN. Young people only want to earn money. The moment the message was sent, the comment section exploded. Oh, in my lifetime, it's YUN who spoke. Ha 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 ha, YUN is so down to earth. I love your work so much. YUN seems to be replying to someone. It must be Zhu Limin. Just now, Zhu Limin said that best actor Qin doesn't really love music and only wants money from marketing fans. Yun is so ruthless. I didn't dare to speak just now, afraid that I would be treated as Qin Yu's fan. She knows how bad Zhu Limin's results have been for the past 2 years. Don't try to scam me. Thank you. AHHH Yun and Film Emperor Qin are working together. It's actually true. Thank you, Teacher YUN, for speaking up for my brother Yu. Not long after, one of Qin Yu's haters commented sourly. How much did Qin Yu give you to work with him? But he didn't expect YUN to reply. YUN. How much? You don't even dare think about it. Seeing this news, the others were all amused. Ha 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 Yun. Mind your own business. As expected of YUN. Ha 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 ha, I'm sorry. This is the first time I've seen a big shot speak. It feels so good. Her works are out in the industry, and even foreigners are crazy about Spring Night Banquet. You can't even imagine how many people have learned Country A's language because of this song. At this moment, Yang Xian, who was sitting in his office and surfing the internet, was shocked when he saw the series of headlines. Why didn't he know that Qin Yu and YUN were working together? President Yang, Yu Manrin's studio called just now and asked us to send the score to them. His assistant ran over hurriedly. Yang Xian stuttered a little. Do any of us know YUN? You didn't invite her? The assistant was also stunned. P.S. Second update. Remember the monthly votes. Chapter 726. Yang Xian was speechless. If he had the ability, would he still have to care about that old witch, Zhu Limin? Give me the phone first. Yang Xian took a deep breath and called Yu Manrin's studio. However, he did not expect Yu Manran to answer the call. Yu Manran bit his apple and spoke incoherently. Who are you? Yang Xian felt that this voice was a little familiar. I'm Yang Xian from Qin Yu's studio. You are? Oh, I'm Yu Manran. Send me that score. The song over there, Yu Manran said. YUN is urging me. I want to know why YUN is working with us? Yu Manran felt that this Yang Xian was very talkative, but he smiled slightly. Of course it's because she values the best actor's talent, dear. Yang Xian was speechless.
Although Qin Yu was indeed talented, he shouldn't be valued by Yuan. I know. It's because of Qin Yo Jiao. Yang Xian's mind lit up and he immediately reacted. Yun and Qin Yo Jiao were both in the International Musicians Association. Perhaps Qin Yo Jiao had secretly begged them. I'm your mother. Yu Manran almost cursed. She took a deep breath and said with a smile, Our Yun has nothing to do with some people. With that said, Yu Manran hung up the call angrily. Yang Xian was still confused. So, who exactly could invite Yun, this great god? Turning around, Yang Xian saw his assistant in deep thought. What's wrong? Yang Xian asked. I have a feeling that Miss Pei might be a coy. The assistant said confidently, She said last time that we could invite Yun. Look, she's here. Yang Xian was speechless. The next time the department recruited people, they should really add a rule that they were not allowed to be superstitious. Go and inform Qin Yu about this. Yang Xian rubbed between his eyebrows. It was good that the matter could be resolved. Wu Zhouwen later. When Zhu Limin heard about this, her expression darkened. Where did Qin Yu get the connections to contact Yun? Although Yun had been writing songs for Yu Manran was just a grassroots singer. Back then, he was not very popular and did not have any background. However, ever since Yun became Yu Manran's exclusive composer, Yu Manran's popularity remained high and even had influence overseas. It was said that they were #1 in the country in the first half of the year. However, after Yun made Yu Manran popular, many artists with powerful backgrounds contacted Yun, but they were ignored. However, she did not expect Yun to work with Qin Yu. Furthermore, this time, Fei Yi's album was released in the same month as Qin Yu's album. Wouldn't she lose for sure? Yun. Fei Yi also did not expect Yun to work with Qin Yu at this time. He glanced at Zhu Limin and smiled. Then let's release the album as soon as possible. Since she couldn't compare to Qin Yu anyway, why should she release an album with Qin Yu? Zhu Limin's expression didn't look too good. She wanted to say something, but she couldn't. Indeed. Qin Yu had Yun producing an album. It was impossible for the sales to catch up. Zhu Limin was already starting to regret arguing with Qin Yu impulsively back then. After all, Qin Yu's popularity was still there. Even if the album she produced this time was not good, the sales would definitely be enough. However, Fei Yi was different. The purchasing power of fans could not compare to Qin Yu's family at all. She was going to lose. How could she compare to Yun? Zhu Limin's face was pale. When Qin Yu heard this news, he was also very surprised. However, the first person who appeared in his mind was Bei Yunj. Chapter 727. His Gu-er seemed to have a good relationship with Yu Manran. Qin Yu's eyes darkened and his Adam's apple bobbed. Did Gu-er help him? Actually, Qin Yu also knew that the president of the International Musicians Association, Du Xiao, liked Bei Yunj a lot. However, in Qin Yu's heart, he did not have the right to ask Gu-er for help. In this life, he only wanted to protect his family and Gu-er. Qin Yu opened the conversation with Bei Yunj and started to type. Qin Yu, Gu-er. Halfway through, Qin Yu's dark eyes were expressionless. He licked his lips and deleted all the input. He only sent a sticker to Bei Yunj and asked about Bei Yunj's recent situation. On the other side, Bei Yunj glanced at Qin Yu's message but did not have the time to reply. She sat in a spacious and bright office. On the right was a French window and the scenery outside was bustling. After a while, a man in a white coat walked over. It was Cui Hengchuan. I'm very surprised that Miss Pei would take the initiative to come over. Cui Hengchuan laughed and sat behind his desk, looking at Bei Yunj with warm eyes. However, Bei Yunj had never liked psychiatrists. Especially the psychiatrist who treated her. Elder Zhong is still waiting for my medical records. Bei Yunj slowly crushed the candy on the tip of her tongue. Cui Hengchuan did not mind. Bei Yunj's attitude had always been indifferent. Instead, he smiled and said, What's the relationship between Miss Pei and that Mr. Jean? Hearing this, Bei Yunj looked up halfway, her eyes filled with a bone-chilling coldness. I'm sorry, Miss Pei. I heard that you're staying with him. I need a reasonable analysis. This was also one of the reasons why Bei Yunj did not like psychiatrists.
Passion, as you can see. Bei Yunj smiled faintly. She also wanted to know how this psychiatrist was compared to the psychiatrist she knew in her previous life. Cui Hengchuan looked down, his thin glasses hiding the strange look in his eyes. You like him? The other person in the room did not comment. Suddenly, Cui Hengchuan's lips curved. But Miss Pei, I need to remind you. Do you think he will accept a crippled person? Bei Yunj looked up. The coldness in her eyes was obvious. Miss Pei's research ability is indeed amazing. I believe that Miss Pei will gain an unprecedented reputation in this area. Cui Hengchuan smiled faintly. The premise is that you can survive. Did you think that I would commit suicide? Bei Yunj smiled mysteriously. Cui Hengchuan didn't answer the question. Instead, his voice was still gentle. I have 2 patients who are as talented as Miss Pei. Of course, this was far from being comparable to Miss Pei. One of them was the painter. Due to the long period of oppression in his heart, he had gone completely mad. One of them was a researcher like Miss Pei. Because her husband cheated on her, she killed her husband and finally committed suicide. After saying this, Cui Hengchuan was observing Bei Yunj's expression, but he didn't see anything strange. Cui Hengchuan, are you sure you want to treat me? Bei Yunj suddenly raised his eyes and looked at him calmly. Cui Hengchuan was stunned for a moment, but the next second, he smiled. Miss Pei should be able to tell that I do have a good impression of you. I will ask Elder Zhong to find me another psychiatrist. I will go and pay the consultation fee first. Bei Yunj didn't look at Cui Hengchuan and planned to leave. Miss Pei, if you don't like it, I won't do anything to you that I shouldn't do. This is the professional ethics of a doctor. Cui Hengchuan added, and I am the most suitable psychiatrist to be Miss Pei's. Chapter 728. If Miss Pei's identity is exposed, how dangerous will it be? Perhaps Miss Pei knows? Cui Hengchuan continued, of course, I'm not threatening Miss Pei. I just feel that Miss Pei doesn't have to be unwilling to accept my treatment just because she hates me. You have to know that Mr. Zhong Shanglin is very concerned about you. Bei Yunj glanced at him. Not long after, Bei Yunj sat in front of him again. She picked up the pen on the table and twirled it between her fingers. His tone was indifferent. Dr. Cui, you should hide your emotions. I don't like people looking at me like that. Is that so? Then what's the way he looks at you like? Cui Hengchuan smiled. Men could not hide their possessiveness towards the prey they were interested in. He knew very well that this was a man's bad nature. But he could not avoid it. The way he looks at me. Bei Yunj's brows relaxed and the corners of his lips curved. It's quite scary. These words made Cui Hengchuan unable to maintain his gentle smile. Muse bar. It's all done. Do as you see fit. Yu Hanran placed the key on the table and moved it towards Hua Shidu. What a waste. He had gotten a top-notch research lab just to give it to Bei Yunj? Yu Hanran took a sip of wine to restrain his jealousy. Yes, thank you. Hua Shidu took the key and put it in his pocket. You're already at Muse. Don't leave so quickly, right? Yu Hanran said faintly. I've been attending all the recent dinners. Aren't you going to drink with me today? Hearing this, the man glanced at him casually with his pale-colored eyes. Yu Hanran instantly felt guilty. What are you doing? I'm not drinking, the man said unhurriedly. Then, he held a cigarette between his slender and good-looking fingers and shook the ash off casually. His posture was lazy and light, and the corners of his eyes were a little seductive. The women around him who were secretly sizing him up could not help but feel their hearts beating faster. However, what the man was thinking was that after he drank a few times, the little girl was not very happy the next day. I see. Yu Hanran looked a little guilty today. He turned his head away and his eyes drifted. Actually, someone else came today. Hua Shidu looked up and waited for him to continue. This increased the pressure on Yu Hanran. Yu Hanran quickly lowered his head. Wen Jiuwan. This time, when Jiuwan chased him all the way to Yun City. He couldn't really do nothing. Then you two have a good chat. With that, Hua Shidu prepared to extinguish his cigarette and leave. Yu Hanran immediately said, You're not here for me. Why are you talking to me? Didn't you like her? Hua Shidu glanced at him and then at his watch, preparing to go back early. Then do you know who she likes? Yu Hanran's eyelid twitched. In the past, he had courted Wen Jiuan. After all, Wen Jiuan was publicly acknowledged to be beautiful, and her personality was impeccable. But she didn't like him either. Every time Wen Jiuan was willing to talk to him, it was because Hua Shidu was standing beside her. Even when she was talking to him, Wen Jiuan's gaze was always on Hua Shidu. What does that have to do with me? As soon as the man finished speaking, he received a message. Are you home yet? The man's thin red lips curled up and he quickly replied. Not yet. At this moment, Bei Yunj, who saw this message, looked at the time and narrowed her beautiful eyes. She quickly continued to type. Where are you? Her hand trembled and the question mark turned into an exclamation mark. She accidentally sent it out. Bei Yunj. Chapter 729. Why did she feel that something was amiss? Just as Bei Yunj was deep in thought, the man on the other side saw this message and the corners of his lips curled up. When Yu Hanran heard Hua Shidu's words, his eyelids twitched. He took a deep breath and immediately said, Shidu, can you face the fact that you're single? He didn't have a girlfriend yet. Immediately, before Yu Hanran could finish speaking, he saw him press the voice button. The man's expression was languid as he casually put out the cigarette but with one hand. His deep and magnetic voice was low and hoarse with laughter, making one's ears itch. Yunyan, why are you so fierce? Yu Hanran was speechless. He was wrong. Hua Shidu was spending all his patience on coaxing his girlfriend on that child of his. At this moment, Bei Yunj clicked on the man's voice message without any psychological defenses. However, she heard the man's languid and magnetic voice, which had an additional texture of electricity, reverberating in her ears, making her blush and her heart race. Yunyan, why are you so fierce? Bei Yunj's heart skipped a beat. The next second, Hua Shidu called her. Bei Yunj was in the library. She could only stand up and walk outside to answer the call. Lu Yuanxi, who was beside her, saw that Bei Yunj walked out without saying anything. He instinctively wanted to tug at Bei Yunj's sleeve. However, he did not even touch her clothes. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. Is someone who has finished their summer homework so arrogant? Brother Lu, are you done with your foreign language homework? I'm almost done with my math homework. Chu Zhixing pushed Lu Yuanxi. School was about to start. Did he still care if Master Pei was arrogant or not? Soon. Look at what Master Pei wrote. It's even simpler than the standard answer. Lu Yuanxi could not help but complain. After finishing their foreign language homework, Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing naturally exchanged the homework in their hands. At the door, Bei Yunj picked up the call and heard a man's voice clearly coming from the noisy environment. Yun, Hua Shidu should be at a bar or something. Bei Yunj hesitated for a moment. Brother, you didn't drink, did you? The man suddenly lowered his voice and chuckled. Then he adjusted his emotions. Not yet. But President Yu is holding a drinking party, so I can't leave. Yu Hanran, who was beside him, heard Hua Shidu slander him without batting an eyelid. You can't leave? Didn't you reject him very straightforwardly? Bei Yunj couldn't help but frown. He felt more and more that Yu Hanran was not a human being. Then I'll come pick you up. After hearing a satisfactory answer, the man narrowed his lazy and indifferent peach blossom eyes. The corners of his upturned eyes became even more seductive. On the surface, she was still quite polite. Sorry to trouble you, Yun. Bei Yunj. She felt that there was something wrong with this man. At this very moment, Yu Hanran put on a fake smile. Master Du, do you know what you just said? Let's go. I'll drink with you. The man stood up and walked to the private room. But at this moment, Yu Hanran only felt that he was definitely going to take the blame. That little girl from Master Du's family was probably going to kill him. But in the next moment, Yu Hanran reacted again. He had just called Wen Jiuan over. If Bei Yunj came over, wouldn't something happen? That little vixen from Master Du's family was definitely not someone to be trifled with. Yu Hanran's scalp went numb. However, what should have happened still happened. Hua Shidu and Yu Hanran had just walked to the long corridor when they heard a soft shout. Hanran. Yu Hanran turned around and saw Wen Jiuan wearing a silver-white dress and a pair of high heels. She looked even better than a few years ago. P.S. End of update. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.